Why So Spicy with Nicholas coming at ya podcast. Warning, extended satirical material in this program may strike some viewers as vulgar, offensive, prurient, or, worst of all, serious. It's satire. Please adjust your expectations and interpretations accordingly. Hello, Connor. This is Nicholas Brookins, and I have you on the podcast, Why So Spicy? Coming at ya, Nicholas B. So, tell me how you've been. I haven't seen you in, 35 years, I think.
We saw each other in 1986 was the last time we saw each other.
Hammer time. I was wearing...
That was
baggy pants in high school, North High School.
Right.
I wore Vans, baggy pants, purple, preferably my favorite. And then I wore like these crazy shirts that were colorful from Miller's Outpost. That was my place to... It was like this Ocean Pacific OP type cool California surfer dude thing. My father never wanted me to shop there, so I worked at Chuck E. Cheese, this little pizza place, to raise money.
I remember that.
He wanted me to save up money, and I never did. I fucking spent it. And he used to get pissed. I remember my first paycheck. I don't know if you were with me that time, but I went out and bought this dream thing from this place called Radio Shack. And it was a synthesizer with like 36 keys on it, but it had this thing where you could do your voice and turn you into Max Headroom, Max Headroom. And it could do these like fucking recordings, so you just say Max Headroom. And there was this white guy, and he'd do his head in a chic, crazy manner, and it was my dream to have it. I bought it, and I got fucking in trouble. It's my own money, $99, but it was, that's the stupidest thing you could ever buy. So there goes my musical career. Fuck. And so, so at the time, we were going to North High School. I was, father was in the Hells Angels. I was on mom number 5, I think. 5, yeah. And I think I met you in the library. I don't know how. That's what you said. I don't remember meeting you. I just remember you were my best friend.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember actually meeting you. I just remember you were my best friend, and we did everything together. And then we hung around with a little group of people. There was Harold, Chris Conley, Missy, and there was another. I think that was it. I don't remember anyone else.
I do have a weirdly
That's fucking amazing.
Good memory. I remember everything, yeah.
So I just knew you.
And I remember everything about when we met. Remember, North High had the 15-minute break, and it had the lunch break, and then it had another 15-minute break. And I had just moved there from South Dakota, where I was used to regularly getting beaten up by the kids that I was getting bullied by, and so I would hide in the library on those breaks and lunch. And you came over and started talking to me, and I totally didn't trust you because you were a bigger guy, and you were being really friendly. Yeah, and I wasn't. And so I thought, yeah, this guy's going to try to lure me out of the library, and then a bunch of kids are going to dogpile me. And I did not trust you for like 4 or 5 days. I was like, it took about 4 or 5 days for me to realize you were not going to have me killed.
Well, I failed at my attempts, but you were like a fucking, like the Roadrunner, you know, I had to fucking have, and the Wild Coyote, and I tried to fucking drop the big metal thing on you. You just fucking rock by. No, I'm just kidding. I just thought that.
And I would wear the, I had this white jacket, and it had a big old picture of Mount Rushmore on the back of it.
I do remember that.
Yep.
I remember at the time I was, went to football, and then my father said I wasn't allowed to be in football, so I was still lifting weights, and I got biceps that were fucking huge, and so I wasn't going to let my dad beat me up. And so at school, people just kind of left me alone. But I do remember one time, it was before I met you, I think it was in 9th grade, there was a guy named Funches, really big black guy, with a huge fro, and he was like really outgoing and loud. And he was picking on these Asian kids, I think Vietnamese. And there was about, 8 to 12 of them, but they were really tiny and thin. And I don't know why it got to me. I'm always for the underdog. I always felt like I had to protect, and I was willing to risk my life. I did not give a fuck. I could have been suspended from school. Funches could have fucking knifed me. And I said, he pushed him, and that's when he touched him, and the little guy fell down. I'm like, take your fucking hands off him. And I got up in his face, and I pushed him. Don't you ever fucking touch these people again. And Funches was like, what the fuck? Because I'm 6'1", 6'2" at the time, thin, but my biceps are huge. And he was ripped, too. He was a huge guy, but he just fucking backed off like this crazy white guy. And so we went into the locker room, and the little Vietnamese guy showed me this weapon they had that if he would have gotten any more violent, it's this little thing where you press the button, and it projects like 3 steel bars, and they did it to the locker. It fucking crushed the locker. It went 6 inches deep in. And I'm thinking, I would have fucking broken a rib.
Ooh.
And so they could have protected
That
themselves,
would be
but he would have been
to
hospitalized.
have.
But anyways, after that, they were like my interim friends. Like they just knew like he's a good guy, and they weren't like bringing me presents or anything. They were just like totally like respect, and a head nod here and there. And then Funches left me alone. He never fucking bothered them again. So I don't know, just one of those things. But then
do you remember your friend Edwin?
Edwin.
Do you remember your friend Edwin?
Edwin was an Asian guy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Really
little
thin.
guy, like me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know how you remember that. I don't remember him. I just remember small, thin Asian guy that was super nice. He was good at math, but I don't remember him.
His name was Edwin. And he and I became friends.
It was just a joke.
Once.
I will categorically deny I'm not racist. I just said that he was good at math. He's Asian. He happens to be good at math. It was just allegedly. I remember him being good at math. I'm not saying all Asians are. I'm not trying to be racist. But
very good at math.
Fucker. He was good. Yeah, anyways. I have to. My daughter said I had to say these things legally. That everything's a joke. Everything's humor. I'm not liable or slandering any race or anyone. It's all just in humor and fun. Anyways, go on. my Russian friend told me to not fucking ever apologize. You come in like a hammer and you do what you want and you fuck them off. And I'm like,
yeah, I am your Russian friend because I will categorically state that everything I say I fucking mean. I mean every fucking word that I say, and I do not apologize.
Oh my God! All right. So
but I only make fun of myself and Christians and Republicans.
Is that so wrong? So I didn't know you were actually gay in high school. You're my best friend, and I couldn't pick up on that. I didn't get gaydar. I was in California, so I knew people like that existed, those people. But I was liberal enough. I just accepted people, but because my parents were so racist that I wasn't allowed to date black girls or Mexican girls. So when I was dating a black girl, I didn't tell my parents. I'm just, you do it on the side, and all of a sudden, you get in trouble and shit. So anyways, I move away I get in a fight with my father, go to the foster care place, move to Arkansas, move away from you guys, and that was pretty much the kind of communicated, but I don't think we communicated for after high school. That would have been 35 years, 1986 to 2003. It's a long time, in other words. And then so
when Facebook came out, somehow or other we
that's right. That's how it was.
On Facebook.
Mark Zuckerberg, holy fuck, isn't that crazy? And so you went from California after high school. What happened? Like you got a job and you moved to Florida, or did you go all over travel the world?
At 18, Jesus, this is kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it in a nutshell. I knew obviously that I was gay. I knew when I was 6 years old that I was gay, probably because there was a breakfast nook in my treehouse. But
that's funny.
I didn't know. I really didn't know what to do, and I had this story that I had told people. You went into the Air Force, and I knew that because we were writing letters there for a while after you left. Huh. And so my story that I told people was that, I'm going to go into the Air Force because people were asking me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And college wasn't an option because my parents were very poor, and nobody in my family went to college, so I knew nobody would believe that. And then when I was 18, I ended up moving to Orlando, Florida, where my father was on his third wife or fourth wife, I don't remember which. They allowed me to live with them, and I was going to take some college courses.
So you didn't move to Florida because it was more liberal or more accepting? Because California, I guess, is probably the most accepting place.
Dude, I never, ever intended to come out of the closet, ever.
So you weren't there for fearful... Okay.
No, my plan, and keep in mind, my childhood is as sad as yours, just in a different way.
Yeah.
I was already planning my suicide by the time I was 7 years old.
Jesus.
Because of the gay thing. It was obviously clear when I was 7 that I was different from the other boys.
You don't think that people in South Dakota would have accepted you, in other words?
I would have been killed.
No, I absolutely agree with you, but that's where Because like I tell people, I'm trying to be
That's
moderate.
where Matthew Shepard.
Oh, I didn't think
the
about
year
that.
that I came out of
Yeah,
the year that I came out of the closet in 1992, just a 3-hour drive from where I was raised. Matthew Shepard was beaten into unconsciousness at 2:00 in the morning in 20-degree weather, tied to a fence post, and left to freeze to death.
I do remember that. That was a long time ago.
That's the area. That's the area that I was raised in.
And just for the record,
and
on a
so,
serious
no.
point, there was so I'm after the military 27 years, grew up in Southern California, Arkansas, adopted. So I have red ideas and blue ideas. So I say I'm red and blue. So for guns, I have guns. That kind of makes me red. The border, I don't want it to be totally porous open, so I kind of want, so that makes me red. The trans thing, for certain trans particular things, I'm kind of red. But when it comes to racism, I'm fucking blue. I don't want any racism, fucking no one, or anti-gay stuff, or just like the trans Delaney Mulvaney person, Devane Mulvaney. I don't think that person should lose their job or be killed or anything like that. Like, if you don't fucking like that person, don't hang around with them. Don't be friends. Don't go to do what they do, but don't fucking try to kill them. And it's just like there's certain blue and red things like women's abortion. If a woman gets raped, she should have every fucking right and not to listen to a religious person in a state house say that it's God's will. And I'm like, that's when I get over the top. I'll fucking die for my beliefs when it comes to that. But
no woman should be told anything about what to do with her body at any time. If she wants to go to 7-Eleven at 8.5 months pregnant and pick up a big gulp and then go around and terminate her pregnancy around the corner, that is nobody's fucking business but hers.
Well, I don't think the big gulp's going to cause it, because I'm not against 7-Eleven because they're a Japanese company. I think coat hangers would probably do better than a big gulp. I don't know. I'm not sure. See, my sense of humor is kind of wry. It's probably people would be like calling in. I'm going to get canceled here probably within a show or two. My sense of humor here, like, oh my God, you're talking about coat hangers, and you said a big gulp couldn't cause an abortion. I'm like, oh yeah, you could do it. I'm not going to say if you don't fucking try hard, but goddamn, it's going to be a little challenging. Like the big gulp epidemic. We're banning fentanyl in big gulps. The police. We caught someone trying to smuggle 34 big gulps before they got warm across the border of Florida. Just like stupid shit. Anyways. So you didn't feel fearful at the time. You were, as a kid, committing suicide, but you eventually just dealt with it?
As a kid, I was fearful because I was different. I refused to kill anything. I would not kill animals. I wouldn't hunt. I liked to do typical little boy things like build tree houses and build rafts and, go around and float down the creeks. I had kind of a Tom Sawyer-esque upbringing. But I also like to bake cookies with my mom, and I like to decorate cakes with my mom.
But you didn't have
that was not
fucking
okay.
Barbies or anything. You didn't have like open.
No,
things
I
so
didn't
your family
need to because I had my sister's Barbies.
Oh, cool. So the parents didn't think well, he's playing with Barbie, because back in the day, in our day, like it was fucking.
Yes, they did think that. Yeah, they did think that.
It's like, oh yeah, Barbie. Huh.
I was the Van Gogh of the light bright. I mean, I was...
Oh, my God, that's a flashback. The light brights. That was a fucking awesome toy. God,
yeah,
the hours you spend on stupid shit.
Yeah, I would make these, beautiful, beautiful pictures of flowers and butterflies, and I would put words like joy and happiness and all that. That just fell flat, because boys don't act like that. And so it was just obvious.
Did they know, or...
They knew that I was not like the other boys. I don't think they understood that it was gay.
Gotcha.
They just knew that it was not manly. And in South Dakota, to be not manly is to be worse than a child murderer. And I'm not fucking kidding you.
So they beat you up in school.
I mean...
So what age were you when you left the Black Hills of hell to go to Cali? SoCal.
I was 15. I was 14 years old.
14. Oh, so that's right when I met you. Yeah.
That was in 1985. I had only been there for 6 weeks when I met you.
Oh, Jesus. And so do you feel California was? You were what?
That first 6 weeks that I was in California, keep in mind, South Dakota was all white and a few Native American Indians, and I had never been outside of South Dakota to that point. And then all of a sudden, I'm in Southern California. There's every color of person, every style of dress. I was so sick for that first 6 weeks. My stomach was such a mess.
From anxiety,
from just the change.
Just the food, or
anxiety? Anxiety. Yeah.
But did you feel less fear of people in Southern California, or was it? I mean, you felt better?
Well, after I realized that you were not going to kill me and you started introducing me around, I didn't trust these kids that you were introducing me to because they were being so nice to me. And I just kept waiting and waiting.
I feel like it's
the
Breakfast Club and shit.
Yeah, I just kept waiting and waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know, I kept waiting for them to...
Once I lure you in, the wolves will come out. A pack of 20 chihuahuas will fucking tear you apart. That's funny. It's funny the perceptions. You're so used to being abused. You get into that mindset, PTSD, of just like, oh, fuck, here it's going to come any moment now, yeah.
Oh, I had PTSD by the time I was 13. No question about it.
Just you get shaky. You're just used to getting hit. You just like bounce away. You can't trust anyone. Yeah, it's survival technique, coping mechanism, whatever you want to call it.
So then you moved, but my circle of friends grew from those original people that you introduced me to. And when I finally realized, oh my God, I'm actually safe, then everything changed for me. And I will tell you that I did have...
Every fucking kid in America. It shouldn't be just be like, oh, there's one gay kid, black kid, Chinese kid, Arab kid, and they're going to get beat up, and the parents are just going to allow it to happen. And the school board will just say, oh, well, that's survival. And I'm like, fuck, why can't they do something about this? The parents, the teachers, everyone knows it's happening, and people have become so, and I don't care, Republicans or Democrats or anything, if you're a racist, you're a fucking asshole. I just can't, or just intolerant is another word, I guess. Like people that are just so close-minded, Karens come out.
The word is bigot.
Bigot, yeah, that's a...
Bigot covers everything.
Yeah, it's so... Why can't we just get along? I feel like that
18,
song, yeah.
I had the happiest 3 years from age 15 to 18. I mean, I went to my midwinter prom with your ex-girlfriend.
That's funny.
I just had a great time. I would go to Redondo Beach and Huntington Beach and Newport Beach.
How did you get out there?
Well, I had another friend. I had a car. I had a piece of crap car, and my friend Ron had a car, and we would pile into our piece of crap cars, and we would, on the weekends, we would go to Huntington and Newport, Redondo.
Awesome.
Harold's grandparents had a house on the beach in Redondo. So it was very similar to like a poor man's version of 90210 for like 3 years. I mean, we kind of did the beach thing every weekend and listened to beach music, and it kind of was 3 years of forgetting that I was in the closet, you know, and I didn't have to deal with it. But then when I was 18 and I graduated and everybody went their separate ways, then it came back full force, and I moved to Florida, and by the time I was 21, here's a interesting little thing you'll like to hear. I actually believe, because of my religious upbringing, and I went to church 6 days a week. My school was in a church. My school was in a church in South Dakota.
Damn.
So I went to church 6 days a week.
Still not enough.
And it was all I knew.
Sinner.
It was all I knew. So I really believed that on my 18th birthday, God was going to make me, quote, normal. And when I woke up on my 18th birthday, I was still not normal. So then, this is how naive I was. I thought, well, you're not really a legal adult till you're 21, so you must turn normal when you're 21. So I went to Florida thinking, okay, well, I guess I just have to kind of play it off for another 3 years, and when I wake up on my 21st birthday, I'll be normal. And I was still going to church down here. And I believed I was a Republican, and I believed I was a Christian, and I even voted for George Bush Sr., because I didn't know any other way. I'd never had any exposure to any other way. And on February 16th, I turned 21. I was still gay. And on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day of that year, I put my car in the garage and turned it on.
Fuck, you tried to kill yourself
and tried
at 21?
To kill myself.
Just because you didn't turn straight, damn.
Yeah, so, and I had planned that suicide for about a month, the details of it.
Isn't
the
it
way
weird
I was going to do it.
People, in my mind, people that what I consider everyone in America kind of having an easy life. But when you go through something hard, like someone like you that went through difficult times, and high school grades don't mean shit when survival techniques, like you're fucking just trying to live, not die, and it's just like your priorities are different. Like some of the people in the military and people I've met in life, like, my father and parents didn't give me a Porsche. And I'm like, mother of God, you've got to be fucking kidding. Like, it just...
Well, you got to remember, I really did want to go into the Air Force. I really wanted to be in the Air Force.
Yeah.
But in 1989, when I graduated, that was illegal for a gay person to be in the military. Straight up illegal. You would be dishonorably discharged.
In fact, when I was in the Air Force, I was in medical at the time, and I graduated from the school and all that, and then went to Andrews Air Force Base on the East Coast. And they told us a rumor about the ether as in like E-T-H-E-R, the gas, ether bunny, that your roommate is going to gas you with ether over your mouth and then drug you and then rape you. And if you have to go to the ER and you've been raped, well, they put you in prison or kick you out. Because they don't, OSI.
It was a dishonorable discharge.
Dishonorable discharge or prison time. Like, they told us prison, so it just fucking freaked us out. And I didn't want to get, and then my roommate was a black guy who was really nice, and so I was like, I still couldn't sleep for 6 months because I was fucking paranoid 18-year-old that believed anything, you heard the rumor, the sergeant told you, it had to be fucking real. And so it's the first time away from, home and shit. I didn't go on vacations except my grandma's house in Arkansas. Then they adopted me, and then my grandma was so racist that she told my uncle when he went into the Air Force that the black people have a disease. Don't touch them. The disease will get to you. And she never told me that because she knew I wouldn't fucking listen to that shit. Because my grandma was, bless her heart, best woman I've ever. She took care of me. She's awesome. She had foster care. But she said, I'm not racist. I've had him in my house before. And I'm like, Grandma, you've had roaches in your house too. You don't fucking say that. Yeah, just the old people talking shit. So anyways, you moved to Florida. And in my mind, there's 3 places in the United States that are populous, like large cities that are kind of gay. There's something called place San Francisco, New York, California altogether, New York, and then a place where I don't know the city, but the movie was called The Birdcage. And
Miami.
That's Miami. I just always thought like Miami would be more friendly to gay people, but the city you're in right now, is it as friendly as Miami?
Well, I'm in Orlando. I don't have a problem saying that.
Gotcha.
And we're sort of a gay mecca.
Orlando?
Orlando, not Trampa, but Orlando.
My sense of humor there. I have nothing against Orlando or Miami or San Francisco or New York. I'm just joking. And allegedly, I've heard gay people go there. Go ahead.
I've been in. I obviously I did not succeed in the suicide attempt. I spent 11 days in the hospital and lived.
Oh my God, you lived! Like you did go to the hospital. That's intense.
Well, yeah, carbon monoxide is deadly. I don't know how I lived, to be quite honest with you. But anywho, I was basically forced out of the closet at that point because people needed to know, why and all that. So I did come out, and I started immediately going into the gay community and making friends, and I've been in our gay pride parade in Orlando every year since 1992.
Do you think the people were accepting? The gay people in general in Orlando?
Accepting of me, you mean? Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm gay, they're gay.
Yeah, but so they weren't like, how people are catty and 30, it doesn't matter what age you are, people are like 5-year-olds.
Dude, no. So they were, no. Like I was 21 years old. Yeah. And they knew that I had tried to kill myself. And and you know who really saved my life? Was the drag queens.
What?
The drag queens.
That's irony, not the preacher. The drag queen saved me. That's kind of funny. That should be a movie.
Oh, well, by the way, when I was in the hospital, my father arranged for this group. Keep in mind, I had just tried to kill myself.
Oh, my God. Conversion therapy, let me guess.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
I had a group of 4 big, burly men come to my bedside.
Which
after I had
just
spent 4 hours in the I had just spent 4 hours.
All your dreams came
in the
true.
Hyperbaric
but then what
chamber.
happened? 4 hours. Jesus Christ! I'd have what's that called? Claustrophobia. It freaked me out. So
this group was called Eleutheros.
The what?
And It was called Eleutheros, which is a Greek word meaning freedom from bondage.
I thought you said Luther in your ass. I'm like, well, that's a weird group of people to convert you. we're gonna convert you from being gay after we. So what did they just talk to you? Did you ask them to leave, or did they take you to their camp and do any brainwashing?
Actually, my dad's wife had a little bit more of a liberal streak to her than my father.
Yeah.
And at one point, I was really, really, really upset. I mean, I was just bawling my eyes out. I didn't know what to do or who I was, and I was having a nervous breakdown. And my stepmom just said, "You guys have to go," and she pulled me aside.
She was in the room. Damn, that was very nice of her. I wouldn't. Yeah. Wow. She's
the one that my own father didn't kick him out. It had to be his wife.
Obviously, damn, that's not even a relative. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you feel bad for like parents not accepting their children for whatever they are. Yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah.
Anyway, so she kicked him out, and I ended up going into therapy. I had to go to therapy for 2 years because the first therapist looked at me and was asking me these questions, and I started talking about what I had been through in my life. And she had been doing therapy for 20 years, and she just looked at me, and she was like, "I'm going to need to see you 3 days a week."
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's a lot. Well, once every 2 weeks or something, but damn, she was worried about you then, yeah. It's good she took
Well,
I
was,
and you felt close to her, like open, you could talk to her? You didn't feel alienated?
Total. Well, for the first year, she kept telling me that I had been abused. And for the first year, I was like, no, I haven't been abused. I didn't even know that I'd been abused. She told me that I was brainwashed by the church, and I was like, I'm not brainwashed. This is all I know, you know. So it took 2 years for me to really come out of all of that. But I've been in the Gay Pride Parade every year since 1992. Damn. And Orlando is now, in the late 90s, Gay Days started out at Disney. And
you told
that
me.
is
I was like, I never heard of that. It was in October last time,
yes.
I thought.
No, never. It's always in June. Our Gay Pride Parade is in October because it's too
I went
hot
to Disney
in
World in October, November one time, and they had everyone that wore a red shirt was like pro-gay or gay or something.
That's Red Shirt Day.
Red Shirt Day. What was that? Is that a gay pride thing, or is that?
Yeah, our Gay Pride Parade in Orlando is in October because it's cooler, and then they have the Red Shirt Day. So.
Jesus Christ, that was thunder. As soon as you said Gay Pride Parade, I'm like, oh my God, God's after me. So, so here I am, fucking innocent, married to, I married someone with AIDS, not just HIV, but AIDS. She caught it through hemophiliac. Anyways, I'm out there. I did not know what Gay Pride, the Red Shirt Day was. Here I am, fucking at Disney World, wearing a fucking red shirt. And everyone's being super nice to me. Yeah, look at you laugh. Ha, ha, ha. And so here I am, and people are like super nice to me and looking at my ass, and wife at the time was with me, and I was with her. I'm not looking at anyone. I'm just but people are super nice and looking at me, and I'm like, what's up with the shirts? And so I asked someone, and I'm like, oh my God. But no biggie. What are they going to do? I'm not going to die or get raped in Disney World, but that would be an odd story.
But that's the reason that that's the reason that Orlando, our Gay Pride Parade now it's an international event. I mean, I'm in the parade every year on a float, and when we go down the street, I mean, it is just a sea of people, just as far as you can see. I mean, it's insane. In fact, it's almost overwhelming. Like my chest kind of gets really tight because it's so many people screaming and all that.
So the unique thing you told me this last time that it happened, I think this last year or this year, there was someone that came out, and I forgot why she was there, but someone named Jill Biden. And Jill, the president's wife, brought the Secret Service with her, and you said you felt safer, or tell me about that.
Well, I didn't feel safe going to the parade this year or the year before. I haven't felt safe.
Yeah.
I haven't felt safe since MAGA happened in 2015.
Damn, that's a long time ago.
I did feel safer knowing that Jill was there because the Secret Service were there and there were helicopters overhead.
So if anyone has a gun, they're going to figure it out. You felt safer in that respect.
Yeah, so I felt safer. But last year was my 30th year in the parade, and I am retiring from being in the parade, and I am now going to just be a spectator because...
What? Yeah, the fear of...
I've never... No, it has nothing to do with the fear, because they can kill me as a spectator, too. But I've never been a spectator.
I got you. You've already been in
I've always been in parade. Yeah, I've done it for 30 years in a row, and I just want to do something different.
30 years. And so you told me something that you live by, or you've been around something called the Pulse nightclub, where 19 people died a few years ago.
I lived on the corner.
Damn.
It's at the intersection of a street called Michigan and Orange Avenue, and I owned a condo on Michigan.
And you told me a week ago or so that there was some rednecks that came in with a truck and an AR-15, and they shot up another club that you used to go to in the past. You weren't there at the time. But it wasn't... Mm-hmm. I said, that's not even been reported in the news, and you said something along the lines of that they're not even reporting it anymore because it's just so frequently people in Florida
it really
become rampant.
It doesn't make the news. It's just we've become desensitized to it. And, I mean, I'm, 52 years old now. I'm not some club kid these days, I don't go to clubs anyway. But... yeah, and then my friends down the road have an antique shop, and they had some bricks thrown through it recently. So, and then there's, all kinds of...
how people can raise their kids to be assholes, and to be an acceptance.
Well, I was raised to be an asshole.
But not
my three older brothers were raised to be assholes.
But not to hurt people and go out and intentionally... You can hurt these people because they're bad in our eyes. And it's just like a...
Well, my older brother definitely... he's violent, especially when he drinks. Of course, it's because he's in the closet, I believe. Gotcha. Strongly believe. The people who... I have a 30-year career of being gay, so I'm kind of an expert. The people who have been the most anti-gay and the most angry and the most hateful and the most violent, ultimately, 4 or 5 years later, I've seen them out in the gay nightclubs.
Jesus.
So I just
not
know.
being able to deal with it.
Know.
Understood. Yeah, psychologically.
So I just know, and I have 3 older brothers. We're not in touch, but when we were in touch, one of them came out to me when he was drunk and spilled the beans on the other brother. And they're kind of living the Brokeback Mountain thing in rural South Dakota.
Oh my God! And that's harsh.
But their lives are just like, one is he's a daily blackout drinker. The other one is agoraphobic. He can't even leave his house. And I know that it's from we had a fairly violent father.
Yeah.
We had a fairly violent father, and my dad kind of beat the crap out of the one, and my mom kind of beat the crap out of the other. And by the time I came along, I think my parents were really tired of beating the crap out of children, and that's why I ended up having to go to this church school, because they were like, well, let's, we don't know what we're doing, so let's give him over to these fundamentalist cocksuckers and see what they can do with him, And that's how I ended up getting so screwed up. I mean, you go to church 6 days a week, and you're gay, and you're being shown films in the 80s. They would show us films in the early 80s of AIDS patients that were dying, covered in the carcinoma sores and all that.
I was like, why would they show that? That makes sense, because if you do that, this is what happens to you. You've been a sinner.
Because they genuinely believed, just like these assholes today believe, that you can actually scare a child into not being transgender, into not being gay. That's like thinking that you can scare a white child into being a black child, or a black child into being a white child. It's just ridiculous. But could you imagine being like 10 years old, all you've ever known is the church, and these people are showing you films of AIDS victims dying, and they would always say, and these people have no family because their families have left them because they're sinners. And my own family was like, damn straight they left them. That's what they should do,
So it didn't make you feel good, yeah.
It was just, I mean, my dad one time straight out said if any of his kids were gay, he would kick them out of the house.
Jesus.
And I was 7 years old, and I knew what I was.
He probably wasn't joking around, though. Yeah, that's a redneck type.
He was not joking at all. So
there was a time when
but anyway,
I was abused or whatever, and so get hospitalized, and the state of California took me away twice, which is how I got flagged on Facebook, by the way, just talking about this kind of stuff, child abuse. And for my little podcast here, they don't want any discussion of anything that hurts people's feelings, I guess. But back in the 70s, to get beaten was normal. And I'm not talking just beaten with the hand. I'm talking beaten with a metal belt from my dad's Harley Davidson Hells Angels type thing. It was a metal belt he wore on his fucking leathers. And when you get beat by that, it's hard to walk afterwards. And you got bruises, and they're just accepted. Oh, you got like, they didn't turn that in back in the 70s. And when I hear people today say, like, well, a little bit of child, if you just spank them, it's spoil the rod, spoil the child. And I'm like, I don't think these people know what, like, abuse is. They've not seen children in foster homes and the things I've seen in the emergency room and the ICU where people get fucked up and they can die. And I'm so glad that we have the laws now that don't allow child abuse or spanking of any sort anymore. And I think the world's better for it. And I tell people to fuck off if they don't agree with that, because they don't know what abuse is and they've never been abused. Like, most people are like, oh my God, I got spanked once because I robbed a store. Like, fuck, you don't know. Yeah.
I know nothing about your dad, but one thing I can guarantee you is he was abused. Because that's the only way people do abuse, is they've been abused themselves. My father was horrifically abused.
Yeah. And they don't know how to cope.
My dad was horrifically abused. And so obviously my dad has passed on, but for whatever reason, I can forgive my dad, because
you're a stronger man than I am.
He had a horrible. He had what I can't forgive him for, what I don't forgive him for, is as we all got old and we moved out of South Dakota and we were all adults, and I came out of the closet and I gave him a very simple book to read called "So Your Son's a Cocksucker."
Oh, you did not. Is that the name of it?
That wasn't the name of it, but it was sort of like that.
Okay, yeah.
It was just
basically,
it's not
we need to fucking write a book like that. That'd be funny. That'd be an instant bestseller. Like, probably not in Arkansas.
No, it was just this very simple to read book about, your sons come out and, what to do and what to know. And my dad wouldn't even read it. And the thing that I will never forgive him for is continuing to vote for the people that caused all the pain for gay people in the first place. I will never, ever forgive him for that. Yeah. He died in 2015, and he was a Trumpster right up till his dying day.
Damn. And so
I won't forget.
You moved out, and then you had jobs intermittently now and then. What are you doing now?
I work for the largest pharmacy in the world, and I am a major medical claims investigator, complex claims investigator.
And this is what we talked about before, you moving to a foreign country to save money and like Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, or Spain, or whatever. Can you do your job as a digital nomad, or basically away from the actual site, or do you go and investigate drug claims, or do you in person, like you look at them?
No, I work strictly from home. And yes, physically I could do my job from there, but now my company is like hemming and hawing about having people work from another country, even though it's happening all over the place. So I'm actually in meetings with my company off and on, trying to get them to give me the okay, because I work through a VPN.
I guess if they trust you or not. If you're still putting out 13 cases a day and 10 is the average, you're going above that.
It's not that they don't trust me. They love me. What they're afraid of is if they let me do it, then it's going to open the floodgates, because again, this company has about 500,000 employees.
Jesus Christ. And if you do one, they all must go. And are you out?
And we have a lot of gay people.
Do they know you're gay?
I've been out. Oh, are you kidding me?
No.
In 1992, when I lived through that suicide attempt in 1992, I kicked the fucking doors off of that closet And
that means you were wearing, like, is it not just the way you talked, the way you dressed, or how did they just...
It's just when I'm dating a guy, I don't hide it. When I'm out in public with that guy, I hold his hand. In the mid-'90s, the first company that I worked at, I was a sales supervisor. Everybody loved me. Everybody knew that I was gay. I had a picture of Steve, my boyfriend, on my desk. And I would take my employees out, and Steve would be with me. Everybody knew, but I went for a promotion to the executive side of the company.
Jesus, yeah.
And those fucking cocksuckers looked me in the eye and said, we know you're qualified, we love you, but we can't have somebody, quote, with your lifestyle in that visible of a position. And there were no laws whatsoever that I had no recourse. They literally looked me in the eye.
Like, geez, they told you, which is...
They told me straight out, and then a year later, I went for that promotion again, and they told me the exact same thing.
Fuck,
and they used the phrase, somebody with your chosen lifestyle in that visible of a position.
It almost seems like a discriminatory type thing. I'm not a lawyer or anything, but allegedly discrimination.
Almost. What do you mean almost? You know,
that's just
today. Today,
It thundered.
I could sue the crap. I could sue the crap out of them today.
So there is. It has changed then. That's crazy.
Although there are many, many cases being brought to eliminate diversity and inclusion.
Oh, in Florida, they're trying to get rid of all that. Yeah.
No, not just Florida. Everywhere.
Ooh.
They're trying to get rid of affirmative action in general. So, and most people don't know that. Most people are too busy keeping up with the Kardashians.
There's just too much shit out there. And so after the elections, and I just kind of somewhat divorced myself from the news for a while, and now I'm kind of getting back into it because the election's coming up again, and people are getting all riled up. And it's not about policies. It's all about social, how can we piss people off and turn the blue against the red so bad that they're going to hate each other, and they're going to be deaths at the polling sites, in which it's getting crazy. It's
Well, that's why I vote by mail.
Are you allowed to from Florida? Like they're trying to change laws where you can't do mail-ins or anything. It's like it's getting weird.
We still can, and that's what I do. So I mean, I'm thinking, I'm thinking positively that, this is going to burn itself out. All of this hatred is going to burn itself out.
It'll take a while, but now the people.
But I don't know. I really don't know. Luckily, I'm not of an age where. Well, first off, I don't even drink, so I'm not of an age where I go to clubs.
And that's where the danger's at: the clubs and the malls, large places.
Well, whenever you have large herds of homosexuals together, that's when you got to worry,
Oh, we got to come up with a word for that. Large herd of homosexuals.
Gaggle of gays. It's called a gaggle of gays.
And they're
a gaggle
hungry.
of gays.
They're hungry like a wolf pack. Oh, my God. It reminded me of Duran Duran. The wolf's hungry like a wolf. I forgot the name of the song. I'm not a singer or anything, but it was like hungry like a wolf. And the wolf would come on the little MTV, and he's vicious. The gays are just in a pack. They're in a herd. They're going to hunt you down. And that's so funny because I just don't think of gay men going around raping men. It wouldn't. I don't know.
It doesn't happen.
There was 13 of them, and they got me.
If you're going to get raped, it's going to happen in a Catholic church.
That's the actual factual truth. And the sad thing is, I've said this before. It's kind of inappropriate, but here I am. So, why are only people from Arkansas and Nome, Alaska abducted by the aliens to be raped and probed over 3 and 4 days? There's even a movie in Arkansas. It was called Fire in the Sky, where 3 or 4 Arkansas
I've seen it.
Good old boys scared the shit out of me.
I've seen it.
They were raped by the aliens for 3 or 4 days. They dropped off, and they were kind of confused and sweaty. They show up at the police station, and the policemen are laughing at them like, you boys are doing that kind of shit. And the music, and all of a sudden they didn't believe them because you guys got drunk and doing some crazy shit out there in the woods, aren't you? And same as in Alaska, like, okay, Jimmy Bob, I think you guys had a little too much to drink. It's not the drugs and alcohol. It's not. I promise they really did probe us. And the aliens are smart enough to know that no one is going to believe anyone from Alaska or Arkansas because they're just not. If it was New York or Miami, people, oh my God, it must have really happened. But Arkansas, yeah, those boys are, they're kind of weird there. That's my 6 cents of humor.
My grandfather in South Dakota, claimed that he saw a UFO.
Oh, saw. I thought he got raped. I was like, damn.
No, he claimed that a UFO landed on his property. And he didn't tell that story very often because you can imagine how well that went over in South Dakota.
Sure, we're going to believe that,
So he didn't talk about it often. But my take on the whole thing is that these are obviously very, advanced civilizations. And if they wanted to take us out, they would have done it already. So I'm not really concerned about it.
There was something was in the news. My son told me about it this morning. I didn't read it. Was it near?
Dude, we're getting visited all the time now.
It's in Vegas.
All the time.
It's either Arizona or Vegas. It was in the news.
Arizona.
No, like today.
It's Arizona.
Yesterday. Something happened in one of those states in which a green flash of light in the sky and then a 10-foot creature with big eyes and a big head was seen. And I don't know if there's any video pictures or anything. I just know that was in the news. I want to research it because I love that shit. I saw a movie called Signs with Joaquin Phoenix and Mel Gibson. And there was a part in Brazil, the little birthday party, and an alien walks across. That scared the absolute heebie-jeebies out of him. I'm like, oh, my God. And then the case in Brazil.
I've been saying for years that if they show up here, they are more than welcome to take me. I would rather go with the aliens than be a gay man in Florida. So they are welcome to take me. I'll go.
Not just from the probing perspective, you just want it straight up out of America.
Well, that would just be an added perk.
Billy Bob's looking at you all drugged up, like, why are you smiling, Connor? And so, please take me, aliens. And so, no, I'd be like one of those people, just like totally like help them out. I'm like, they're over there, they're in that house. Oh my God!
Have you ever watched the videos of these sightings? I mean, these craft, whatever they are, they fly vertically, then they turn at a 90-degree angle, and they zoom off with the speed of light at a 90-degree angle that no human craft is capable of.
Well, see, what happens is the sun hits the rain cloud, and the scientific... No, yeah, I agree with you. It's all bullshit. You can't do that. It's impossible. But I was listening to this little guy named Joe Rogan, the little sensitive guy on Spotify.
I can't stand him.
Allegedly sensitive and crying all the time. I can't say that out loud. But just humor, just kidding. It's alleged. The word allegedly.
Do you know that I canceled my Spotify because of him?
I'm on Spotify now, so you got to fucking get back on there. So there's this guy
I know.
that was on the show, though, and he was a famous little director. He went down to Brazil because 20 years ago there was something happened, and they had, like, the police picked up the little alien, brought him to the hospital after the little girls and the mother saw it. The guy died like a day or two later because the oil stuff on the skin killed him, and they have like the proof of the the landing crash site and stuff. So the Brazilian government took that away. So I think they're there. I think.
Oh, I know
the American government is slowly through Independence Day and slowly letting us bring things up. There was something in Arizona where there was like 13 lights and they were in a V formation, and they stayed up there and they didn't know. People were like, "Are the military putting the lights up there?"
You know the actor Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, yes.
Kurt Russell, he is a private pilot.
What?
And that Arizona, he has a private jet and he flies as a hobby.
Yeah.
And he was flying over Arizona that night.
What?
And he saw it. I've been following this stuff extremely closely for years. But Kurt Russell saw that stuff, and he has publicly said, I'm famous. My whole career depends on people, hiring me, and I'm willing to put my reputation on the line and tell you I was there that night. I was flying, and I saw it with my own two eyes. He's gone on national TV and said it.
There was the governor of Arizona didn't know how to respond, so he came out he hired someone to put an alien mask on. And just to like joke around about it and just ignore it after that. Just like, well, let's make fun of it. That's the best way to deflect. And so there was this movie.
That did not go over well.
No, it did not. There was this movie made, and this my son and I watched it. Scared me. So there's the lights that night were supposed to offset what really happened at night because there was aliens in the desert eating people, and the movie's about some guys with a camera and they're like just doing one of those Blair Witch things, except the aliens are there. And the lights in the sky, everyone's looking up and they're ignoring the booming and all the sounds in the desert because that's where the aliens are like taking people out and eating them. And they had an aircraft in
Aliens are not eating anybody. For the love of fucking God, please don't start the...
I know, but
don't
it's just
start.
the movie. Just the movie. And so one of the crafts in the movie, SB3, I forgot the name of it, but my son swore he saw one at the Air Force Academy. But it's a triangular thing with 3 lights, and those are able to move around in different ways. And that's the alien aircraft. But the... Interesting. That movie scared crap out of me because it just seems so real. And I think they're slowly incorporating this into our thing so we won't... Because religion will crumble if there's aliens. Because in the little Bible thingy, it talks about we're made in God's image. Well, what if there's aliens? That means they can't be just our personal white God that wasn't white. And we just kind of morph him into whatever we want for personal reasons. And
personally, I think they're here to help us. I really do.
That'd be cool.
And I have my own reasons for thinking that. But what I really don't want people to do is do the same human thing that they always do, which is fear and hate what you don't understand. If these things were here to hurt us, they would have fucking done it by now. These sightings have been going on.
Technology is a little better than ours. I'm not going to lie to you.
They could vaporize us probably in a heartbeat. So I really do believe that they're here to help us. And I just hope that people don't get all hysterical about it.
This was like back when you were a kid, teenager. There was a movie about these lizard aliens that came. V was the name of it. That's what it was. Oh my God!
I remember that.
I was so addicted to that show.
That was a mini-series.
And I
remember that.
The humans were helping them out and telling them where they're at, and they were like lizards underneath their mask, and people freaked out. And oh my God, that was so good.
Do you know that show was one? That show was one of the first things that told me I was gay, because whoever the guy was that was playing that, I was thinking, I was like 7 or 8 years old. I was thinking, he's hot.
That's funny.
In his little alien outfit.
I don't even remember. I remember a lady with black curly hair. Black curly hair was the evil lady. And then there was a really thin guy who was a good guy, but he was kind of nerdy looking and super, super thin. And then you had the hero of the show, who I forgot who it was. I swear he looked like MacGyver.
That was funny.
And so V was one of those movies that were just like, and then... I still have, my wife bought me for Christmas a couple years ago, Battlestar Galactica, the silver helmet, like special edition DVDs, were the original Lauren Green. Trying to get the white people back to, I guess there was one black guy on the show, but back to Earth, but they didn't know it was just the home planet, and the Cylons were doing everything. There was Balthar, the evil guy that went over to help the aliens. And they would zoom, 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 zoom. So my grandma from Germany, who's like a millionaire, comes in her Mercedes. She rented to come visit me and when I was a kid. And she bought me these really expensive, one was a 12-inch Cylon, the silver guy. One was Starbuck, and this little guy in a leather type thing. And they were worth $75 back then, which was a lot to me. And I totally fucking ruined them in the mud. You know how kids just rip the arm off and the Cylon. Oh, fucker. If I would have had that today, they're worth like a lot of money, but you don't care about that shit as a kid. But movies and television has influenced me so much in my life. Like, if a movie evokes emotion or tears, like I think you and I have talked about the movie with Cher, where a little kid named Rocky, and he's...
Mask.
Mask, oh my God.
Rocky Dennis.
I cried like a little biatch. Am I allowed to say that on the podcast? Just kidding.
I can say what the fuck I want.
And so... The Mask and Rocky, really, wow. I think that was the first movie I truly... And then, I can't remember crying that hard after any other movie. Like, Cher, I know you like Cher.
Well, of course, I mean, it's the law.
I think her best movie was that movie, because that's the only movie I remember her in. But she was huge. Elvis, Cher, same time frame. Sonny and Cher. Whoa, that just hit me. He died in a skiing accident. She survived. I think that was who she was with,
wasn't there. She wasn't there.
Allegedly.
They had been divorced.
Allegedly. I think she pushed him down allegedly. But
no.
I remember them being on TV
They
and singing.
they were very, very good friends, even after the divorce. They still loved each other very much after the divorce, even though the media said that they were always fighting. Cher loved him very much. She just didn't want to be married to him.
All I know is I allegedly heard that she tied a fishing wire across the ski slope, and I don't know what happened after that. Just kidding. It's a joke. It's a humorous show. Calm down, people. Cher's lovely. I love her. Love you, Cher. So, oh my God, my Russian friends are going to be pissed. You should not apologize for anything you say. Jesus Christ. Just a different type of... So I use humor. I apologize, knowing that it evokes like, oh, Jesus, calm down. It's a kind of a funny humor reaction. But certain people don't understand, like, saying American humor. And so it's hard
Joan Rivers is my fairy godmother.
Oh, my God, she's so mean.
Joan Rivers is my fairy godmother. And she didn't fucking apologize for anything.
She joked around, though.
Oh, my God. She used to take on...
But
remember when we were kids?
Yeah.
She used to, do the fat jokes about Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, my God. She did say the meanest things. But she would be on a show, and she'd be laughing like, oh, my God, did you see Elizabeth Taylor? And like, oh, boy, that's a fatty. Just like things like that. But it'd be a joke, but at the same time, it would cut. It's like a cutting, like, sarcasm that just like, oh, my God, that's so mean. But it's funny. Like, she was definitely funny, but it's just like, oh, I could never...
She would have never, ever survived cancel culture.
Oh, my God. Yeah, there's some people in the back in the day that, it's rough now. Like, it's, and that's where,
Joan Rivers is a major gay diva. I mean,
what?
She was a huge gay, she's a gay icon because it was the gay population that was going to see Joan Rivers because she was so hilariously funny. And
now the one
gay
I thought
men
that was more of a gay icon now for the actress that's, and I don't think is gay, it's a lady with red hair, curly, it's Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin.
Does the gay community like her?
Oh, we love her.
Okay.
She's I've seen her.
Because she made fun of some Trump guy, and she started crying about something about it. I remember that it really upset her. Because she made a joke and it hurt her feelings.
She made fun of Trump.
Allegedly. But she hurt his feelings, and so he lashed out and made her cry, and so that was like, and yeah.
Well, he had her investigated because the joke was she went on stage with just a paper mache head of Trump, like she had cut his head off. And he had her investigated, and she was on no-fly lists. And
Jesus.
I mean, he put her through the ringer. I mean, it almost broke her.
This is going to sound weird, but isn't that kind of a weaponization of the Department of Justice and the legal system? If he just can arbitrarily have people investigated through the IRS,
he certainly did.
And that's why I don't like.
He certainly did.
This is on the record. I allegedly do not like Trump. I want this guy named either Chris Christie or Nikki Haley to win if Biden can't do it. Like, can't win because I don't think DeSantis is going to be getting it. And if Trump does, I think Biden is going to win. There's just too many people. Trump has lied too much. And not like everyone says, everyone lies. Not boldface, absolute, ridiculous lies. Like, it's just to the point he can't talk politics. All he does is just attack people and try to tear them down. And that's the lies I don't think we need in politics. He tore apart the country, called January 6th. And I'm not making this shit up. He's being investigated for it. And it's not one-sided. It's to the point that, what do you call it? They have 36 counts against him. Espionage is one of them. And they only went with a solid 98% conviction rates. They only go after the little things to make sure it gets slam dunked. Pence gave everything over. Biden gave everything over. Hillary gave everything over. He fought it. He said, I don't have anything else. He secretly hid it. He had his person, the aide, who's being investigated now. It was on the indictment. Hide the things in a different room. And so he's kind of screwed. And people are saying
we're too far away from the elections to even be worried about it right now. I mean, so much can happen between now and then.
Because you never know.
I mean, somebody's going to have to pull something out of the hat, though.
I just hope Chris Christie can pull it off. He's this little guy from New Jersey that's a moderate, and that's what I want.
Well, why do you want
in between? I want someone in between.
Chris Christie is not a moderate. There's nothing moderate about Chris Christie.
It's a lot.
Gay people are going to be. He's not going to be a friend to gay people.
You don't think so?
He's not going to be. I know so, dude. Listen
He
to
wasn't
me
nice to
very
Jersey
clearly.
people? Yeah.
No Republican is a friend of gay people or marginalized people. He would still be for anti-abortion.
Yeah.
He would still want women to be told what to do. You cannot start supporting Republicans. You just fucking can't.
What about that guy in New York? His name is DeSantos or Santos. He's gay, but he lies a little bit.
George Santos?
He lies about a few
George
things.
Santos? He's a fucking psycho.
He doesn't lie as much as Trump, but he lies a lot. He said he was the
He's a fucking psycho.
president of the Boy Scouts. He's landed on the moon. He won the Olympic 100-meter dash. He lies about a few things, but he's the only gay Republican I know.
He's not even a Republican, dude. He's just an opportunist.
Just an opportunist. That's funny.
That's all he is.
They're supporting him. They're supporting him. They're going to go down with the ship on him.
Dude, you cannot support Republicans. Oh my God, you cannot support a Republican.
Yeah, it's an interesting world we live in. All the different hates and the blue and red. They just want to moderate someone that's kind of in between. I think Biden's doing a good job right now. People's like, oh, he's not because he's not our side, and that's what we've come into, where everyone's against each other. And the media, whichever one you listen to, will definitely get you.
I want Oprah and Gayle to run.
Absolute slam dunk win. Absolute slam dunk.
Oh my God! All you would have to do is say Oprah and Gayle, and it would be done.
Who's Gayle?
What?
Who's Gayle? Remind me.
Who's Gayle?
Yeah, Oprah and Gayle.
You are so terminally straight.
What the fuck is Gayle? Seriously.
Gayle is Oprah's best friend.
Oh, sorry. I was like, is this a new person?
Yeah.
It's obviously I was maybe someone from Florida.
Michelle Obama would be, but she won't run because she hates politics.
Yeah.
But she would be a slam dunk.
Oh, there was, if Arnold could, I think he'd be popular. Kevin McConaughey, I think, would be popular.
Matthew McConaughey?
Oh, sorry, Matthew McConaughey. He's a little Texan
No
guy.
more Hollywood people. Jesus fucking Christ. No more Hollywood actors.
Reagan?
These stupid Again, no more Hollywood actors. I'm fucking sick of this.
So I was looking at winning the lottery, right? And I looked at houses in Florida. And I'm not going to lie, Florida seems expensive. Is Orlando considered an expensive city? Or are you able to buy a nice, I think you live in a penthouse, a palatial, like 13th floor? Or what are you know what I'm saying? Like, how expensive is Florida?
No, I live in it's tied with New York and San Francisco for the most expensive.
You are shitting
markets.
me. No way. Are you kidding?
I am not.
Florida?
I absolutely am not. Not Florida, Orlando. It's the fastest growing city in the country.
Kidding. I thought Miami Beach and those Miami, where Tom, what's his name?
Because they've run out of building. There's no more room to build down there.
Well,
they've run out.
There's room right around Disney. They're going to build a prison there, that DeSantis guy. They have to live in the swamp. But
well, Orlando and Miami are 5 hours apart.
Yeah. There was a place, and I don't know anything about Florida, so I'm about to talk trash here. So there's a place where this little guy named Tom Brady, football player, and
Palm Beach,
Ivanka, and they have like this island that's private, and to get on it, they have private security helicopters going around it all the time, and you got to take a boat over. Some bridge is like the most guarded bridge in the world, and you got to have at least 400 million. Like, they're really, really rich people there. That's Palm Beach, and where is that? Is that Miami or?
That's south of here, about 4 hours. But I mean, you couldn't even buy a garage down there. I mean,
so
my
it's
God.
Expensive?
Oh yeah, Palm Beach is like. I had a very dear friend who's passed, but he was raised in Palm Beach, and his next door neighbor was Zsa Zsa Gabor.
What? And so
yeah,
there was these houses around, not in Disney, but like a mile or 2, 3, 5 miles from Disney, and they're like on golf courses, and they're worth like $13 million. My dream was to win the lottery.
Yeah, that's in Celebration.
That's the name of the city?
The town of Celebration.
It is, okay. And it Disney-esque like houses, like they'll have little Mickey Mouse something, or just like in a pool. That's my dream, is to have a pool at my damn house, so I don't have to go to the country club to go to the pool. And so.
But you like white suburbia. You're a white suburban guy. I fucking hate suburban America. I live
What would you consider suburbia?
downtown.
Oh my God, you're talking downtown. Oh, Jesus. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Suburbs,
I live
right outside of town.
downtown.
Yeah, kind of.
No, I hate suburb. Oh, God. If I have to see a perfectly manicured lawn, I'm just going to throw up. It's just not my thing. I live in a very eclectic, sort of, just a cool mishmash neighborhood of mostly gay people, but it's certainly not an all-white neighborhood.
I'm about to say something
here.
that I'm totally avant-garde. I don't know anything about, but there's this place in New York, like Soho. It's kind of eclectic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Soho is. I just know that like it's
kind of like it's kind of like my neighborhood.
Hate Ashbury and San Francisco is kind of like artsy fartsy kind of accepting.
You're thinking about the Village.
The Village, and is that what your neighborhood's like? It's kind of like those type things, like where like poets.
It's not as cool as the Village,
and,
but it's sort of like that. Yeah. It's just very eclectic. I live in a 100-year-old house in the historic district. The streets around here are all cobblestone from back in the 1850s, and we're in a very big 4-bedroom house, and there's 3 of us living here. And
in Orlando, damn.
It's pretty typical for gay men to do the roommate thing just because we don't have kids, and it doesn't. I've owned before, and it doesn't make sense.
No,
it doesn't make sense for me to own a property.
So there was this guy named Bob Saget. He was on a comedy show, and everyone on that comedy show has been dirty or somehow allegedly done bad things. And so he's in Orlando, not with his wife, falls and hits his head, which I swear allegedly. There was a working person in the room with him, and accidentally he was doing some crazy kink nasty and fell and hit his head on the glass table, and then he died, and they're like, no, he's a good comedian alone on his own, and he was naked, and I'm like, you know who I'm talking about, Bob Saget?
Well, he died at the I think it was at the Hard Rock. It's not that far from here. It's not alleged. We don't know that he was naked. I mean, we don't know that. You can't trust anything that you read. I mean, we don't know that. He had a huge cocaine problem.
Pink handcuffs on, fell backwards, hit his head.
That's like the Richard Gere hamster story. I just don't believe any of it.
There was one 5-inch heel that fit his shoe perfectly, like Cinderella. I'm not going to say it's...
No.
I'm just kidding. It's a humor show.
But facts matter.
Do they now?
I'm going to assume that he was in sobriety and just hit his head.
The funny thing is, most people don't know this. There's these 2 little girls on that show, and they were called the Olsen twins. And they were in New York, and they liked this guy. He was the Joker on Batman. His name was Heath Ledger. And Heath was doing a little bit of heroin. And they claimed he died from the diazepam, taking too much. But the records are pretty evident that were there. The Olsen twins were there doing it, and he couldn't handle his heroin. He's a lightweight. And they were skinny little white chicks, and they know how to handle it. And so they sexed him up. He dies. They leave. They come back a day or 2 later and say, like, oh, he's dead. We didn't know. And because they're what they call a billionaire, they got away with it. Anyone else? Oh, my God. Prison time. But
there is no way he was doing the Olsen twins. Heath Ledger was gorgeous.
All at once.
He could have had anybody he wanted. There's no way he was doing those little skinny bitches. There's no way.
All 3 of them were in a radio flyer wagon with a wiffle bat, and it got weird. No, just kidding. It's just allegedly. But that's going to be my new word. I'm going to get a tattoo. Allegedly.
There's no way. There's no way.
For legal reasons, my daughter says to use allegedly for everything. If I'm talking to a patient, allegedly, you shouldn't eat cholesterol. Anyways, you didn't hear that rumor then. Oh, okay. Anyways, everyone on that show. There was another guy with the black hair that was Danny Bejo. No, that was Star Happy Days. Someone else on the show that lives in Florida. No, who was the guy that went from California and he was so disgusted about liberals he moved to Florida? Was that Danny Bejo?
Scott Baio.
Danny Bejo. You know what I'm talking about. He doesn't live in Orlando, does he?
What a piece of shit that guy is. No,
So tell me what
he
you
moved
think.
to Bradenton.
I don't know what that is.
He moved to Bradenton.
Is that multi-million dollars? Because he wasn't worth that much, like $5 million, $10 million, the max.
Bradenton is a place that normal people would never be able to afford to live. I mean, he's they're right on the beach. God, what a piece of shit that guy is. Ugh.
Allegedly.
Just disgusts me. No, not allegedly. He is a 100% certified steaming pile of shit.
So you didn't like his movies? So
I don't like him.
That's horrible. So when you go out to dinner in Orlando, because it's like Vegas, is it like a strip full of good food, or do you have to go to Disney to get good food, or is there like restaurants that...
Disney.
So, okay. See, these are the questions I ask. Obviously, Disney's not the happening place. Like, you know what? Let's go out for hell with Taco Bell. We're going Disney. And so it's not like that,
I don't want to pay $40 for a shitty hamburger. I'm not going to Disney for anything. I haven't been to Disney probably. I went to Gay Days about 15 years ago, and it was so fucking hot.
Yeah,
because there was 300,000 people shoulder to shoulder in June.
Jesus.
It was miserable, but of course all the people from Kansas were having a great time. They'd never seen anything like it. But no, with those of us who live here, we don't go anywhere near the theme parks. Well, I live downtown.
Like, what's your favorite restaurant? Are you more of Mexican, French, German, Hungarian, goulash? Like, what do you?
I pretty much like anything American food. I like.
But here's the thing that's probably going to. You can be gay. People are like, oh well. But what are you that angers people more than being gay? Can you say it on the radio?
What am I? Oh, that angers people more than being gay? Nothing.
Vegan.
Angers. Oh, but I don't call myself that. I don't refer to myself as that.
What?
No, that's.
What do you identify
Vegans got
as?
fucking weird, dude. Vegans got fucking weird, dude.
What do you identify as?
Let me tell you
that's
this.
Funny.
I say I'm plant-based.
Plant-based. Oh, that's better. Yeah, same. Yeah, I see what you... But you know what I'm saying? If you go to a restaurant...
Did you know that I did animal
vegan,
rights work?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You say you just shut down something that's called SeaWorld? Or you're trying to, I remember.
No, we got Greyhound racing banned in the state of Florida.
Oh, that's awesome. The dogs, the poor dog. I love dogs, you know.
I've been involved in many, many, many campaigns, and all of these people, I used to call myself a vegan. And then in 2015, when MAGA happened, all of these fellow vegans started going batshit crazy.
Like
I started finding out that these people were flat earthers, they were anti-vaxxers, they were, do you know what a 5G-er is?
What? It's like some sort of 5G radio thing where radio waves are controlling
you? Yeah, like they think that 5G is just going to be the end of the world. I mean, conspiracy theories out the ass from these people. And it got to the point
like
where...
someone's been listening to Joe Rogan. Just kidding, allegedly.
It was just... So, yeah, no. I never call myself...
I
never call myself vegan.
Yeah. That's funny.
I'm plant-based.
Even you were, like, offended by the vegans now. That's kind of funny.
Because they're fucking weird.
Yeah, there's... after reading Dr. Michael Greger, it's hard not to be, like, more vegetables and everything else. So, yeah, I'm working on that. I've lost 30 pounds, and I'm... don't eat anything, but if I have to go...
I'm a diehard plant-based, and I'm a diehard animal rights person.
So does that limit your restaurants, or is Orlando friendly to plant-based?
No, we have... This is why I love Orlando. We have vegan everywhere.
So they still call themselves vegan restaurants, just not plant-based. So you like the...
Both. There's a restaurant right over on the corner called Plant Ease, and it's vegan, but they call themselves Plant Ease. People are kind of trying to stay away from the vegan word because it doesn't have a good meaning to it anymore.
That's what I was going to say, because when I went to a restaurant when I was vegan, like when I was running ultra marathons up in Alaska and all that, just to say the word, you can be religious, you can be MAGA, you can be anything you want, but as soon as you say the word vegan at a table, restaurant, people are like, Mother of God. Yeah, just like they made fun of it on Tim Allen, this is a little TV show, and the son-in-law, Brad, is like, looks like Brad can't lift the box. He must be a vegan. And everyone laughs. And just like a vegan is like more of a, just, you make fun of it. Like I make fun of homeschoolers. They're very intelligent people, allegedly, and their socialization is the thing I always worry about with the kids, not going out just in a dark room and learning the Bible.
That's another thing. We have this, I'm not going to use a name, but there was one of our animal rights activists has a little kid, cute little kid,
Yeah.
And is homeschooled, and oh my God, kid was about 8 years old, and we were at an animal rights activist in the local. We were doing an animal rights thing.
Yeah.
The news was there, and they started interviewing this kid, and he started spouting off about how the Earth was flat, and
Oh no!
we were
The
like,
kid? Oh my God, he's being taught that. Oh
kid.
my God, that's what's even worse.
Yeah.
That's what breaks your heart. That's what I almost feel. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you can teach what you want your
That
kids,
kid
but
is
it's almost
gonna
like
be a
child
mess.
abuse. I know, because he's not going to believe what the real world's about. Like shit.
He's going to be an absolute mess.
And on a side note, Pat
So,
Robertson
yeah,
just died, allegedly from what's it called? Not SNL.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
I didn't say it.
All I did.
93, just allegedly. I don't know. But that's a good
In
person.
this- in this
700
case,
Club was
facts
not a
don't
good
matter.
club. Yeah, that's what. That's what the Trumpster always said. It's like allegedly, I heard, a rumor. And so all of a sudden, they become, like each side has what you'd call a rainbow, what do you call it, unicorn, snowflake. And so they're all saying, look at all the snowflakes. There's snowflakes on both sides. I've seen on both, and facts don't matter. It's just all rumors to try to win the election, all that shit. But yeah, Pat Robertson is dead. And so I have this restaurant here because my gastroenterologist says I can't eat meat anymore. And so just a little bit of cheese now because I'm worried about this colon cancer thing. But anyways, there's this restaurant called Santa Maria Santa Fe's. It's a vegan hamburger place that literally is the best hamburger. Like, I cannot tell the difference between Five Guys, Burger King, Carl's Jr., and this place. They use a fake cheese.
They're probably using Beyond.
I don't know what it is. They said no. They're not using that because they make everything there. They use a potato-based plant cheese that is phenomenal. It tastes like the real thing, Coca-Cola song. And
Well, I told you 2 years ago to start exploring vegan cheese. They've come a long way.
I've tried
You can
it. Some
go
of them
into
are
your
okay.
super.
Yeah.
Go with Daya.
Oh,
Daya,
that's
you
one I don't
can't go
like.
wrong with Daya.
Now, there's a pizza place
What?
down the road that does pizza fake cheese, and I can't tell the difference. Like, it's really there. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow they pissed people off, so only got 3 to 5 stars, so it's not taken off like I wanted. But it all depends on if they don't like the clientele that comes in. If there's a bunch of Karens, they don't get good ratings because Karens will... You know, a lady came into our waiting room the other day, and my front desk staff doesn't wear perfume. Someone in the waiting room was wearing perfume. The lady wrote us up online saying it was absolutely despicable that she has allergies, and someone was wearing perfume in the waiting room. Like, how do I control that? How do I control a Karen? You can't. And so the complaints now I don't think are as viable as they used to be because so many people complain after 2020 because the isolation drove them a little nutty. And so you got these flat earthers that are literally ready to kill you if you disagree with them, or they'll cut in front of you in line and they're looking for a freaking fight. There are people now that are just so pissed off they want to fight about anything. They'll interrupt your conversation just to be just like, no, the Earth is flat. Don't say that. The spaceships aren't going and circling us. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
See, this is why I think the aliens are starting to show up. I really do.
Try to save us.
I really think the aliens are looking at us and going, okay, we are getting to a point of no return with Earth, and if Earth gets fucked up, well, then it's going to fuck up the whole solar system. You know, we're kind of like the bad neighborhood in the universe, and we're getting out of control.
So
and I think we're bringing the real estate values down in the solar system.
That's hilarious. The Man in Black. Earth, I heard, is a real dump. That's funny.
So I really think this is why the aliens are starting to show up. They're just like, we got to take care of this bad neighborhood. Maybe we need to gentrify Earth,
Funny.
I'm really hoping like several generations of old white people just die like all at the same time, because that's what needs to happen.
Would you say you had a favorite plant-based restaurant in Orlando, or there's just so many, it's so hard, it's so good that you...
Yeah, my favorite is my go-to. It's called Ethos.
Ethos, is that like a Greek?
No, I forget what ethos means, but it's vegan comfort food. So it's like shepherd's pie, meatloaf, macaroni and cheese.
That's crazy.
It's so good. It's so good.
So
it's comfort food. Apple pie, apple crisp. I mean, it's just really vegan comfort food.
We went up to, and I'm your age, and so I went up to Denver with my wife because she wanted to go to the Watercrest, the highest-rated vegan restaurant in the state of Colorado. We go up there a few months ago and have to walk a block and a half in Denver just to find a parking space. So we get in there, and the young girl's like 19 or 20, and she hands us the menus, which is just a piece of paper type thing, and she goes, looking at me, she goes, do you, because my wife's 10 years younger than me, she goes, do you know what a QR code is? And do you know how to do this? And she was talking in like a voice, but a little louder because she thought it could be hard of hearing. And I'm like, I look at her, and I'm a smartass. You know me. I'm never fucking, and I did stand-up comedy, and in the military I was known as Patch Adams. I'm a smartass. It's my sarcasm. And then she goes, because if you don't, we have an old person's menu with words and stuff. And I'm like, motherfucker. And so after that...
She said old person?
Yeah, she just fucking totally like... So, anyways, I started joking with her after that.
Oh, my God.
Because I've done stand-up comedy in town here, and I've done always a smartass, and I've always said whatever I felt. As long as it doesn't hurt people's feelings, or I'm not going to totally go to prison, or, I say what I want. I joke around. My goal is to make people laugh in a non-offensive way. But eventually she came back to the table, and she's like, oh, you think you're a comedian? I said, I actually am. And so she was not impressed. But did you know there's something called the N-word, which is, if you use that at work, you're going to get fired, right? The new term is, because people cancel culture, there's a term called boomer. Anyone born before 1964 is a boomer, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you use that, the HR will fire you the same day. Boomer is just as offensive as other.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm like, because I'm not in that category yet, but my son called me a boomer, and I felt so bad. I'm like, fuck, I'm old. You know how you just get older and you tell stories like, well, you shouldn't do that because this, and so why is that? Well, because I'm much wiser than you. And they don't... Oh, I was talking to my friend on the other podcast before you, and he was talking about his 18-year-old son who's doing things just like slap your forehead, like face palm, like, oh, my God, don't do that. But you got to let young people live their lives, and when you were 19, 20, in your 20s and 30s...
You're not allowed to judge.
I know, because
You're just
I did
not
the same
allowed
thing.
to judge, because we did it all.
I know, and now I just, I try to use my wisdom to help those people, and they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, what do you do? It's just one of those, it's life. And you see them crashing.
I mean, I had a 24-year-old, I guess you can say kid, that wanted to date me, and I was like, dude, I'm not a sugar daddy, okay? I don't want to raise children. And I actually dated him for like 2 weeks, just for the grins of it. And I was like, oh my fucking God, it's just like a whole other, I was like, this is never going to work. I finally had to break it down for him and explain to him that for the first 27 years of my life, there were no cell phones and no internet.
Well, it's just, my wife's 9 years younger, 9 years, 7 months, something like that. Anyways, just the gap of that little time, little things like H&R Puffin stuff, Fraggle Rock. You start thinking about things, and it's just little things like ATMs came out in the 90s, and things we had to, and it was always there for younger people, like a microwave, the GPS, don't have to use a map. Like, just think of all and the Bugs Bunny, and now they have these little, real tiny Bugs Bunny characters that are on crack, and they're like, talking really quick. And kids can pay attention to that because they're so short, like 5-second bursts on TikTok and stuff like that. They're just so used to micro bursts of things that our memories in America now, very short. Like 3 months later, you'll never remember it was in the news. 6 months later, absolutely never heard of it. Like when you mentioned things in 2015, I'm like, what? I forgot about that. Our media cycle is designed to just shut us down. Because back in the day, there was a guy named Tom Brokaw. That's really old.
Oh, yeah.
And you just listen to him.
Tom Brokaw was from South Dakota.
What?
He was from South Dakota.
That's the
he had a big old ranch in South Dakota.
You, Tom Brokaw, and some Indians are the only people I know from South Dakota. No one else is from there.
I don't even know if he's alive.
I don't want to lie. I don't know. Because it's sad. All these old people that we know that were younger are now dying. And so it's like, damn, there's another actor down.
Tina Turner died.
That was weird.
Like, what? I saw her 3 times. I saw her last show when she was 70 years old in 2008. Her last show was here. And, wow. There was nothing like Tina Turner, man. Nothing like her.
The one song.
Doing Proud Mary.
I play at work all the time, and the fucking colleagues get upset at me. Simply the best. And,
the best.
That's the song I know her for. That's what I know. And then there was Mad Max #3, Thunderdome, little midget, and a great big guy, Master Blaster, and Tina Turner was like the bad woman around this cage. And she'd say, "Bring in the Master Blaster," and it was all about pig poop and the energy. And Mel Gibson, when he was famous before he became a...
She wore one of her outfits from Mad Max in her live shows. Yeah, she wore her Mad Max just for like 2 numbers. But yeah, I saw her 3 times, and she was amazing. That was a big loss to the music world.
Just think about, like, well, for me at least, like, movies is how I rate, like, time frames and where I was at, and clothing not so much. I remember Vanguard, and just like food a little bit. Like, you don't find meatloaf anymore in restaurants, like Bob's Big Boy type thing. It's just different. Like, one thing.
Do they still have Bob's Big Boy?
Not at all. Way gone. Kmart. Not that I ever went there, but it was like Gemco is even cheaper. They were way gone in California. That was the cheapest place. I used to have to shop at Gemco, and the kids at school would make fun of me just because that was super poor. And so, thankfully, I'm a big kid.
Did you ever shop at Piggly Wiggly in
Arkansas? Yes, absolutely. The good place.
Yeah, I was raised on Piggly Wiggly in South Dakota.
Didn't know that. I thought I was Arkansas only. I thought it was an eastern, southern thing. I didn't know that was... The only thing I've learned recently, because I watched the show over, it was called, oh my God, HBO, something about the gold rush. I didn't know that North and South Dakota had gold. I thought it was just California. Deadwood. That was a vicious show, and I was like, but it was real. That was absolutely authentic type stuff.
Deadwood was a vicious town.
But it was real.
I mean,
That's
it was
like,
wow. Vicious.
And the gold miners...
You know that town is still there, right?
I did not know that. But the South Dakota was a big gold boom, and I always thought it was just California and Alaska. Because those are the only...
You've never heard of Black Hills Gold?
Not really, because California, Sutter's Mill, I lived out there, and that's what we were taught. You just know everything about Sutter's Mill, and you get to visit it, and you got to know the gold, but we don't learn about other things. Like, I didn't know Idaho, Montana, North South Dakota, Colorado had gold. Like, I know that because I'm here now, but you just don't learn it.
You didn't know Colorado had gold?
No, because you only learn about Alaska and California when you're in California. Because I got to read something called The Call of the Wild, which made me cry. And Jack London, little alcoholic, went up there, and how vicious they were for the gold. And then the California, of course, they were much nicer, but still vicious. But Deadwood made me realize that South Dakota, North Dakota had gold, and women up in Alaska for the gold rush, they either did 2 things: you baked pies and cooked, or you did kind of like an escort. And that's survival right there. You have to do things to survive. And then even if you found gold in a claim, there's people who go out and kill you for gold. Like, they don't fuck around back then. Like, it was, and they're a sheriff. They're 10 miles out of town. What do you get, gunshot? They're not like sleuths.
You're not that far from Deadwood. The town of Deadwood is still there, and the original buildings from those days are still there. They're quite perfectly preserved.
And what state is it in?
Many of them. South Dakota. It's in the Black Hills.
Like I said, I'll be looking at GPS satellite photos for that place. I'll go on something called YouTube and I'll experience
Deadwood is actually a very cool town. It's a cool town. They have casinos and gambling. Some of those old casinos that were there when Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane were running around up there. Some of those same casinos are still there, operating. It's a very authentic Old West town.
I was a card manipulator, so I can't go to casinos.
Why? Do you have that written on your forehead?
They can just tell. No, I don't. I don't gamble. I did when I was young and enlisted. I went to Turkey, a country in Turkey, and I blew $1,500 in one sitting, and I said I can't do this anymore. And then my buddy, he was higher ranking than me in the Air Force clinic, and he wasted $30,000 in one sitting, and his family, he had no food, so the Air Force helped him out, but then he got in trouble. He lost his rank. He had to go to these counseling sessions about how to appropriately use your money. And so, yeah, that scared me. I just thought, so now I just do the lottery. It is gambling, but it's not like the hardcore people in Vegas sweating and, Matt Damon losing his whole life in a one roll type shit. So, yeah.
I was in Vegas with friends about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And the old Frontier Hotel, which is an old landmark hotel.
Yeah, that's old.
It was about to be imploded, and they were doing blackjack $2 minimum hands. So I went in there at about 10 o'clock at night, and I stayed there, I think, until about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I won $800, $2 at a time.
Jesus Christ, that's impressive. That's a lot. A lot of wins there.
So that was a good night.
There was, when I was a kid, I went to Circus, which I thought was awesome. I just couldn't believe it. I didn't have any money to play anything.
I used to go there.
Around. And then parents took me to a place called the Circus. There's a buffet there that is 4 football fields long. So it's 100 yards. The second one is 100 yards.
It was the biggest buffet in the world.
And it was, it's average food. It's not horrible. It's not good. But it's just a bunch of.
But remember, it was $1.99.
It was
remember,
it
was $1.99.
That's why I was there.
Yep. But it's not like that anymore, because when we were out there, oh my God, Las Vegas just sucks now. I mean, it's all like Rodeo Drive prices. It's ridiculous. So we used to be able to go there for $4 and get a steak dinner.
After 10 months in Iraq at the hospital, bunch of death, and I'm all traumatized, PTSD and shit. My wife wants to go to Vegas, so we go there. The loud noises scared the fuck out of me. Every show I went to, I couldn't stop my heart from getting up to 180. I was profusely sweating, diaphoresis. I was sweating like a bitch, and people were like, "Are you okay, sir?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm perfectly fine." And we went to all those shows. What are they called? Cirque du Soleil. These little French people are fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then we stayed at a place called the Bellagio. And she got some deal because I'm in the military at the time, and the war was going on, so people were like really pro-military at the time. And we got to see this fountain thing. That was my favorite thing in Vegas. Sitting at the hotel room.
Yeah, the musical fountain.
Oh, my God. The most worth going to Vegas for, just that. So I wanted to go back like 3 months ago. There's this little thing called F1 Formula Racing, which I've never really been into, but my buddy got me into it this last year. Totally following all these people. I wanted to go see it in Vegas. I'm like, how expensive could it be? Mother of God. $3,000 for a ticket per day. It was only 1 or 2 days to go.
It's crazy.
And it's F1,
it's crazy.
So you can get one in Miami and Houston. There's like 3 places to go, but it's so popular now in America. It's really taken off. But to get in the suite level is like $15,000 for one day. And I'm like, damn it. I can watch it on TV, I guess, but you got to wake up at 3 in the morning. But anyways, that's if I.
Well, you know what we have here in Orlando?
What's that?
We have a go-kart track here. It's an F1 go-kart track.
What?
And those little cars, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they can move, yeah.
They get up to 45 miles an hour, so I'm getting a group of friends together.
Jesus.
And we're going to go F1 race these little 45-mile-an-hour go-karts. And they have actual races.
That's funny. Because you get those F1 Formula people get out there and race like that, and they're super competitive, and they'll hurt each other. But, yeah, I love the cars and all the drama, because I've been watching something on TV and Netflix about F1 Formula people and all the drama and shit. And I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, and these people will fucking, just like the gold miners, they will fuck you over to win a race, anything. And stealing shit and drama, and just like the French against the English and the American, and just like, oh, fucking good shit. The drama is what people watch TV for, I think. Just there's this little boat show.
People watch racing for the car crash.
Yes,
that's what they're waiting. That's why they're wanting.
Oh, Mediterranean. There's this little show my wife watches that I watch with her. It's Beyond Deck, Below Deck. Have you ever seen Below Deck?
I know of it. I've never watched it. What is it about?
It's drama. It's just the rich people go to these boats, and the boat people are just doing their jobs, and there's a lot of sex, and then eventually there's a gay guy, and then the captain has to not crash into things, and the rich people.
Is that a reality show?
Yes, it is, but it's so full of drama because they like to fight about. After a couple months on the ship, these people get salty. And the drama gets, and they're sleeping with it. There's like predators on there. These little guys are always trying to force the women to have sex, and it's like, oh my God.
I can't do reality TV.
The rich people want like I don't like these eggs. They're rather poached, and I asked for hard-boiled. No, sir, we have you on camera. It said, well, whatever I said is wrong. I want it now. And they're just fucking dicks. Like, oh. And so and then these people are trying to kiss their ass for a tip. And, oh, my God, it's so
No,
good.
no. Can't watch. Although I have to tell you, I'm not proud of this.
Oh, Jesus, what did you
But
do?
one day, I was flipping through the channels. Did you know that I went without a television from 2005 until last year? Did I ever tell you that?
FML. I could not imagine. I have to have TV, telephone, computer access. I am a generation of have to have it. Damn, I don't know how you survived.
No. Quite well. But I went out and decided, okay, if I'm going to get a TV, I'm going to get a big TV. So now I have a big 60-inch 4K flat screen, all the bells and whistles. And I was like getting myself used to a flat screen and how all this technology works with streaming now. And there's this show called Sister Wives.
Jesus Christ. Oh, my God, yep.
It's about plural marriage in Utah and Nevada and all that. And, like, I started watching it, and, like, 6 hours later, I was like, girl, don't you believe him? Oh, no, don't you? He's lying to you, girl.
Oh, my God. That's so funny. So my question is, now that you're watching TV again, do you watch any, like, HBO special, or any, like, gay shows? Is that, like, a thing in the community? Like, do gay people really watch those shows, or is that, like...
Most gay people do, but I don't, because there's so fucking much drama. I don't like drama, and I don't like manufactured drama. That pisses me off more than regular drama.
Well, ironically, you say that because I had to stop watching after the war and all my PTSD, whatever. The Survivor, which I used to love the first 15 seasons.
No.
I had a T-shirt and everything. But that too much drama for me. And just recently I've been able to watch things. But like The Nanny, there's these absolutely demonic children. The parents don't let them get away with everything. And they'll call in some like British person and say like, now you need to discipline him. Bobby needs to be put in the corner like. And then when she leaves, Bobby goes fucking throwing paint on the walls and opening the refrigerator and just taking a dump. Like he can do anything. And the parents are like, now Bobby... And the British lady goes back.
That's all manufactured.
I know,
that's all,
but
they're
it
following
stresses
the script.
me out. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't deal with that shit.
Then why do you watch it?
Well, I can't. I have to leave the room and I've just been able to start reading books again. That was a huge thing for me this last year, to read a book, because PTSD, and to get through medical school, the military medical school, and trying to read, and here I'm the class president, and I'm a little nurse practitioner medical school type thing. D.C., the military medical school does both the physicians and the nurse practitioners together, and the PAs go somewhere else, right? So I have to read the book 4 times over before I can recall things and recollect, and I don't know how I got through school. But I was really good with patients, so I got the top thing on that aspect. Like, I'm good with patients, but when it came to didactics, I'm no longer like a straight-A student, so I was able to pass everything. But, trying to read stuff, reading, just amazing to be able to read a book again. And then watching TV, I can't watch things that are too dramatic. It'll just bother me because I don't want to fight.
You know what
I'm tired
a
of fighting.
Thing to watch is, and bingo, and that's my whole point.
What's that?
But do you have Pluto TV?
I don't know what that is.
All right, well, Google it. It's just as ridiculous. It's a streaming service.
Oh, okay.
And it has just this hodgepodge of stuff. But one of the things it has on it is all of the Price is Rights from 1980 to 1983.
You're talking Bob Barker, the guy that spayed and neutered your pets? Yeah.
Yes. When I was growing up, because Bob Barker, now you know another person from South Dakota. He was raised in South Dakota.
My God, I didn't know that.
So growing up in South Dakota, I mean, like, Bob Barker was a god. Everybody watched The Price is Right as religiously as they went to church. You know, I was raised on it.
And there were times
when there was times that I would fake that I was sick just so I could stay home on the couch and watch Price is Right. Well, they have all the Price is Rights from 1980, 1981, 1982, back from those days, and I haven't seen them since those days. So I watched that, and I love the Buzzer channel, all of the old passwords, and the $25,000 pyramid when Dick Clark was the host.
This show made no sense, even though someone cheated on it, and I don't know how they did it, because I used to love the show, stupidest show ever, but they get these little red tokens, and they would say, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, and it's like ding, 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 and no whammy,
Yeah,
oh, no
press your
whammy,
luck.
and then you press the button and it would show up, and then the next thing would go to the whammy, and the ding, 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 and the whammy,
Yeah,
the
they
little
have
devil
it's
guy
press
would
your
pull.
luck. They have it on there.
Oh my God,
They
that
have
was
it
one
on
of those
there.
shows, old school show, of course, and then there was
Card Sharks. They have Card Sharks.
oh
on
my
there.
God, higher lower. I played that on my own. I fucking love that. That was one of the best. Oh, Card Sharks.
I was great at Card Sharks.
Here's one that's kind of weird. This is probably too young to know this one. There was Milton Berle. It was like, there was 3 people up top and 3 people on the lower. There was like 3. It was like 2 rows, and they'd have to, and there'd be 2 contestants, and they'd have to guess the word or some comedy thing, and like Phyllis Diller would be on there and said like, "Oh, honey, it's the dog," and it was somehow funny. I don't know what.
You're talking about Hollywood Squares?
No. That's a pyramid. That's a 3 by 3 by 3. This was.
Oh,
just
you're talking about Match Game.
Match Game sounds familiar. That must have been, yes, Match Game, because they had to finish a sentence or something like that, and they'd have to write down the thing.
Yeah, they have all the Match Games on there. Charles Nelson Riley's
yes,
on
that was
there.
his name. He was one of the contestants. And he
Yeah,
was like,
Charles Nelson Riley's
super
on there.
cool. He acted like he was like, the big man on the block.
And-
He was kind of nerdy.
Yeah, Brett Summers is on there. Radar, the guy, Gary Berghoff, the guy that played Radar O'Reilly, pre-MASH. I mean, he looks like a little boy. He's on there.
That's crazy.
I sit here all day sometimes and
I
just
watched
watch the Buzzer channel.
The, what do you call it? The one you mentioned with the tic-tac-toe. I used to like that just from the people talking trash.
Wink Martindale.
Yes. Oh my God, that was. Whew. That's my childhood. Like just watching shows like that, and man, but
I try to watch stuff that has absolutely no stress, no drama. I don't fucking need
Feel
the
good,
drama. I'm
just
a
like
gay
that.
man in Florida. I don't need any more shit.
the goal of life is less stress.
I'm very selective.
And now it's so
And of
hard
course-
for me to prescribe things that are called benzodiazepines because people don't want SSRIs like Prozac, Zoloft, Celexa, Lexapro. They want hardcore Xanax, 5 milligrams a pill now. I'm not addicted. I swear to God. I swear to God.
People are stressed out.
And they
People are
want
stressed out.
to numb themselves. So I try to send them to psychologists, therapists, anyone. But people are like, no, I just want the meds and I want them now. And so I'm so scared that people are going to hurt themselves that I try to refer people as many as I can to the mental health, behavioral health people because, and bless their hearts. After 2020, they are overworked. The state hospital, mental hospital is like jammed to the gills. Like, I don't know how these people do it. Because if you prescribe something or one of your patients does something bad in society, they don't care if the patient had issues. Whoever the last provider saw him is a hot potato. Have you ever heard of that? You throw the hot potato to the last person and they lose. That's what it's like. The system now is totally
people are
set
just
for...
getting shuffled around. But for mental health, I'm telling you, your prescription should be 20 minutes a day of transcendental meditation. You do that the way a diabetic has to take their insulin. You do that 20 minutes a day. That's going to go a long way towards lowering your blood pressure,
Now,
improving your mood.
I not only agree with you, but trying to convince people of just meditation, which all it is using a Navy SEALs technique of box breathing, 4 seconds in, hold for 2 seconds, 4 seconds out, double tap. And so what happens
Well,
is...
I do 4-7-8 breathing.
That's perfectly good, too. But if you focus on something while you're breathing, whether it be a microphone, a watch, a bird, a light, that's all meditation is. Everyone thinks you have to be a Buddhist, a hippie, an orange robe,
No, not at all.
naked in a wagon with the Olsen twins with a wiffle bat. That's what people think of meditation. But focusing, that's what the VA is using now because it really scientifically is proven to work. But to get people to... And once I became
I do it every day.
I became a master certified hypnotist, and as soon as I tell people that, they give me oh boy, another heebie-jeebie person, another hippie Buddhist person. And so I try to tell people the reason I know it works for a fact is because when I worked in the burn unit in San Antonio, we had 80% burns, we could still save them. Like the military is really good at medicine. And these people, we'd watch them, and they'd pass out 100 milligrams of morphine, and they'd wake up after they were screaming and passed out again. They'd do it again. So these psychologists were brought in, and they'd hypnotize them just to bring them down to the green room, have them breathe and focus on something, distraction basically. And it took their pain away where they weren't screaming and they could focus on something. Because imagine 80% of your body's burned. That fucking hurts. And then these people in the pain management clinics say, well, after 3 weeks, you really don't have pain. It's all, it's in your mind. You're faking it. And I'm like, fuck you. You do not know what pain is, obviously. And so I don't agree with the pain management clinics and telling people they don't. But in the same aspect, there is 90% of all the world's narcotics are used by Americans. So we are weak. We're the weakest country in the world when it comes to pain. Numbness is all we want. We just want to be numb through alcohol, drugs, fentanyl. They have a new one out. What's it called? It's fentanyl, heroin with horse tranquilizers. It's called Spank Nanks. Oh, shit. Oh, it's a new... I was talking to the police officer, and he told me Spank... I forgot the name of it. Anyways, there's a new drug that'll kill you in like 30 seconds. Really good. Really very addictive. So,
sometimes I do rounds of ketamine therapy, which is psychedelic.
Good stuff. I totally agree with that. The mushrooms are coming out, too. The ketamine therapy.
Oh, I've done mushrooms.
So if I don't know if I have to get a license for ketamine, but it's $800 a pop cash because the insurance companies
you definitely do.
But it's $800 a pop. I can do 2 of those a day, and that would be my day. But people, the soldiers specifically, PTSD guys that have gone through some things, that benefits them the most. Ketamine, dissociative cat type tranquilizer medicine type stuff. Awesome results.
Sometimes I will clear a day and just do a ketamine therapy day.
And so tell me what you feel like when you take the ketamine. They give it to you in an injection in an IV or just into your arm?
Oh, no. It's ketamine is oral now. They've come a long way with it. It's just, you didn't know that?
No, that's awesome. Because the people in town do the IV therapy to get more money, I think.
It's a lozenge. You put it between your cheek and your gum the way a redneck would do tobacco.
Yeah.
And you just kind of just let it sit there like a cough drop in about 20 minutes.
20?
Takes about 20 minutes, and you start to feel very relaxed. And this is not a party drug, and it's not a social drug. This is a deep introspection drug. And it
so
basically
it makes you feel
just
like you're meditating, or like you're doing Reiki, or how would you say?
Deep. It's like meditation, but a billion times more insight and clarity.
So you feel relaxed, you're breathing, you know
deeply.
You're there. Do you dream, or do you think of like you're floating, or do you think like you're walking on a moon, or like how do you? What's it like?
It's so you have to set your intention for what you want to get from this trip. You're tripping is basically what you're doing.
Though.
Not at all. I'm not.
You've done marijuana. Is it similar to marijuana high?
Similar, but better.
Deeper.
It's about clarity. And for me, I have always had these terrible, terrible issues of when I was 7 years old, realizing I was gay, the day that my father said that he would kick any one of his boys out of the house that was gay, and then I was starting to get beat up all the time. For my whole life, I've always had these issues of why wasn't I lovable? Why wasn't I good enough? And it was through ketamine therapy, and you journal while you're doing the ketamine therapy. That's very important. So you set your intention.
So you went to a clinic. You just didn't go behind 7-Eleven or Disney.
No. I didn't go to a clinic. I just got the ketamine, and I did it.
Oh.
I know a guy who knows a guy. You know what I'm saying?
Got Disneyland.
So,
Disneyland. Pirates of the Caribbean. Billy Joel.
But I have a therapist friend who told me how to do it. In terms of how to take it, how to use it, and what to do during. And you set your intention, what is it you're struggling with. And just all of a sudden I started, and the other thing too that I always struggled with is I always felt like I was weak and a burden to my family for having been gay. Oh, I always felt that. Always.
With you. That's odd. You're just born that way. Lady Gaga was born
But I couldn't get to that place consciously or through hypnosis, and I got there under the influence of ketamine. So you journal your thoughts. It's stream of conscious journaling. You censor nothing. Whatever's coming to you, you just write it as fast as you can. get it all out, put it in your journal, and then close the journal and put it away.
So what was your dose you were taking, and how long did it last for?
90, I don't know if it's milligrams, it's 90, whatever the measurement was.
Yep.
It was 90, whatever. I started out at 20 just to get used to it, and then I went up to 90. That was kind of the sweet spot for me. You can go up to 180. But you put the journal away, and you just let that marinate, and then maybe a couple days later when you have some time to be quiet, you go back and read the journal. And it just, I don't know, I can't explain it, but it works very well.
So how many times do you have to do that a week to get pacified or satisfied that you're relaxed? Was it once a month or once a year, or how would you describe ketamine treatment?
Maybe once a month.
Once a month.
The thing is,
I
I have to clear my day because
do you get the munchies
it's got to be on a day. No,
no
not
munchies.
at all.
And you don't feel sick. You don't get nauseated. No constipation. Just normal, good high.
Nothing at all.
Have you ever done shrooms, mushrooms? Like, is it similar to that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it stronger or less
mushrooms,
than shrooms?
I think I would consider it less than shrooms. I've done shrooms.
Now, when you say shrooms, does that mean psilocybin? Is that the same thing?
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin. Is that mushrooms? That's shrooms?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the ingredient, the psychedelic ingredient in mushrooms.
Can you control mushrooms? Because you're talking 90 milligrams, 90 units of something with the ketamine. Shrooms, I just feel, is like a little mushroom.
Well,
you don't know how much you're getting because it could be grown in Bobby's backyard. It could be grown.
Not anymore. There is a company.
Huh.
There's a company in Canada that I get my shrooms from.
Fucking
and
Canadians. God damn it.
Canada. What would we do without them?
Nice people.
But again, if I'm going to do shrooms, I only do those. I only do shrooms maybe once every 6 months because that's a different experience where, like, one time I was doing them and my bedspread and my curtains started breathing like they were lungs.
Holy fuck. Now, what scares me, because it's legal in Denver now to do the psilocybin. I can't say it. Say it again.
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin. I was always afraid I'd see like a dragon, like some little person is a dragon or something offensive, and I want to run it down. Like, is it like that? You don't see people turning into things?
Well, that's called a bad trip.
See, and that's what I'm scared of. Fuck.
So what you do is you start out microdosing.
Oh, I can't do it because I
start out with
heart medicine. They'll fuck it up, I'll die, so I don't do drugs. Okay, drugs are bad. Okay. I was just using that as a humorous context from a South Park cartoon. Go ahead.
What do you? Why would? Well, I don't think mushrooms would interact with you. There's no pharmacology to a mushroom.
There is different drugs, and so what would you say out of all the drugs you've had? What would be the most addictive one, hardest to like give up? Would you say
alcohol?
What really? Hardcore drugs and alcohol is the hardest because it's so sweet and so socially acceptable, would you say?
It's everywhere. I come from an alcoholic family.
That's true.
If you have my last name, which I'm not going to mention, but if you have my last name and you're a male, you are an alcoholic.
Well, yeah, no,
you are born with that gene.
Yeah, there is actually genetic predisposition to that. So you've had...
Yeah, alcohol was the worst. Oh, my God. It nearly killed me so many times.
So it sounds like you've been to that AAA thing? That car?
I was in AA for, 23 years.
Jesus Christ.
AA is... It was bullshit, though. AA is total bullshit. I didn't actually get sober until I left AA 5 years ago. And I've been sober ever since.
That's funny. You just meet people, become friends. It's like a social thing.
They will tell you that it's not religious, but dude, it's fucked up. It's a fucking cult. Those people are kidding themselves.
Alanine, Alanon,
Elatine or Alanon.
Something like that. And there was...
There's two groups.
Yeah, because my father was an alcoholic, and I went to that, and I'm like, yeah, not for me. It's
fucking.
It reminded me of Fight Club, where people would get in a circle and kind of, they would.
It reminded me of church.
Decompress their lives, like, I had this happen to me, and just kind of people like decompressing, just releasing themselves, which is good, but just not my thing. So I'm not saying it's a bad.
Well, here's a universal law. There is an inarguable universal law, which is that which you focus on gets larger.
Oh,
so when you go and you sit in those meetings day after day after day, and you focus on your past and you focus on your troubles, they get bigger. I don't understand what these people think.
That's amazing you just told me this, because there's this Delta Force guy that I heard this from, and I don't know if he's an alcoholic now, but this is starting to make sense. He said, and I tell this to every patient, I love this saying, what you focus on consumes you in life. And so if you worry about anxiety is what I use it for, like if you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get run over by a car today. Oh my God, it's going to be a horrible day. That's what you're going to focus. That's going to consume you. Whereas I tell people it should be like Build-A-Bear. When you get up in the morning, you have a choice of being a sad, pouty bear, and everything's going to be miserable, or you can be like, I don't give a fuck bear. I'm going to do the best I can, roll the punches, and I'm going to be the best person I can, bear. And so it's like you decide what you're going to feel every day. Except if you're an alcoholic.
Explain to me
then you decompress.
How.
Yeah.
I don't understand this, where anybody got the idea that you're having a problem with alcohol. So you're going to go and sit in a room full of 30 other dysfunctional people that also have a problem with alcohol. How the fuck are you supposed to get better? If you have a cold?
The theory is if you go see how fucked up other people and rock bottom, that you're all of a sudden it's going to click, and all of a sudden, you know what? Oh my God. Connor here.
But they want you to go to those meetings every day.
Connor is
They want you to go to those meetings every day. You cannot sit in a room with 30 fucked up dysfunctional people and expect that you're going to get better. It doesn't work like that. I don't
kind of
know
a personal
how this
thing, but yeah.
I don't understand how this thing got so out of hand.
I wouldn't have guessed. I wouldn't have guessed the alcohol though. That was the last thing I thought. Man, you know what's funny? In the '80s, they had this thing called Miami Vice, and I always thought everyone that did cocaine was like going to die. I don't know that. I've only seen like 2 people, sports people, die of cocaine. I don't know that many people.
Well, it's pretty. Oh, I do.
You do? Okay.
Ooh. Are you kidding me?
It is a prevalent thing then, because I just thought, like, man, they really overpushed this no drug thing. Nancy Reagan used to say, "This is your brain on drugs." It was a commercial with a boiling egg, a frying egg.
Oh no!
Remember that? I was like, bullshit. No one's gonna quit fucking doing drugs over a fucking egg.
Cocaine is nasty, nasty shit. I know personally many people who have OD'd on cocaine, but this is Florida.
Did you ever have a panic attack on cocaine, or was it more just like get high and get all antsy?
Well, I only did it twice.
Twice, okay. So it wasn't a big deal.
No, it didn't do it for me. It was the alcohol, because I was in pain. Alcohol is an anesthetic.
And it's legal, too. It's easy. What was your choice in alcohol?
It's legal. It's easy.
Jack Daniels, straight up. Did you do Stoli's, the Russian stuff that has different flavors? Or did you do
Grey Goose?
Oh, my God, that's expensive French stuff. I found this stuff called Vincent Van Gogh. It's this really fancy bottle with art on it, so I just saved the bottles. But, yeah, I used to do that stuff.
But you know what's really interesting?
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. This is important. After I did the ketamine therapy, I've never had a craving for alcohol since, and that was 5 years ago.
What?
Never had a craving for it.
You're saying the ketamine stopped you from wanting...
I have no explanation, but I've talked to other people who have done ketamine since they also left AA. They did ketamine, and they're like, dude, I don't even think about alcohol. It has no... I never even liked the taste of alcohol, and that's the truth. I was drinking for the effect of the numbing. And so now when I smell alcohol, I'm like, God, that smells awful, and I don't even crave it. It's not even a thought. And I was, believe me, as bad of an alcoholic as you can get. I've been to rehab twice. I have a criminal record to show for it. I mean, I was controlled by alcohol.
And so alcohol. Did you do anything else along with alcohol at the same time, or only alcohol at night, just to satisfy?
I would do pills. I would do pills.
It's like benzos,
and I didn't just drink alcohol at night. There were periods of my life where I was drunk for 4 straight days. I mean,
you didn't do
morning
diazepam
drinker.
or lorazepam or Klonopin or Xanax?
I did Xanax with
Xannies? What was your dose on that, 1 or 2 milligrams?
Xanax?
Yeah.
No, I did the 10s.
Jesus Christ, what? You're lucky you didn't get respiratory depression and die. That's the concern I have, is that people get so relaxed and sedated they can't breathe, and that's where they die. And so, did you ever do...
Now you...
There was one of my patients who went to Denver for a Pink Floyd concert, or Fleetwood Mac, one of those type bands. And I had to do a thing, and so it tested positive for... She just said marijuana, and that's not a drug to me. But she tested positive for cocaine and crystal meth, and she was disgusted. She said, "It's not my fault. The drug dealer must have laced it." She wasn't embarrassed about cocaine, because that's a rich person's drug, I learned, and I didn't know that at all. She was embarrassed by the crystal meth, because that's more of a trailer park drug, she said. And I'm like, have you ever done crystal meth, ice?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No.
No, okay.
No, because I don't do trailer park drugs.
And isn't it, so you stereotype it as that too? I've never heard of that, because in the Angels, Hell's Angels,
it's because it's so cheap to make.
in the 70s, and I didn't know that, in the 70s, that's how the Angels made all their money, is they sold crystal meth, and there's so many different names I never knew was crystal meth was what they were talking about, but I didn't know that.
Well, you know
It's
about
like
meth mouth, right?
Well, and it's so funny, because I see patients, and I have so many people that are crystal meth. None of them have meth mouth. None of them. I've only seen 2 people ever have any skin issues, and I couldn't tell if it was bed bugs, or that. So I'm like, I didn't realize how prevalent. Honolulu, Hawaii, capital of crystal meth for America. Up in what's it called?
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
No gay man is going to do any drug, no matter how good it is, if it's going to fuck with our appearance.
That's funny. Which is so funny, because a lot of the guys in the gym that are rock solid, buff, ripped abs are gay. And so it's so funny that people go work out at the gym. But it's so funny people go work out at the gym like, damn, Dave, you're fucking looking good. And they're looking in the mirror and stuff, but you don't think because you're just thinking, man, bro, we're going to kick this ass, we're going to fucking football. But a lot of the gay guys are fucking working out looking like ripped, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you've gotten muscular in your pictures. Your arms were freaking big in the last picture I saw. You've been lifting weights?
Yeah, I'm not a scrawny. Well, I've always been. I'm not scrawny at all.
Yeah,
no,
I've
put on about 20 pounds of muscle.
Muscle, damn.
Yeah, no, I've put about 20 solid pounds of muscle, and I don't have a lot of body fat. But I've done that more for the fact that I'm in my 50s.
Yeah.
And I don't have children, and when I grow old, I don't have anybody to, take care of me, and so I need to stay healthy.
I think your diet's the best thing. The meditation is proven to assist people in living longer. The diet is factual. Dr. Michael Greger discusses diet being one of the key things for living longer. Turmeric, cumin, and blueberries. The Indian people from India, they do that. They do not get cancer. We have 20 times more % cancer in America based on our diets, and it's so depressing. Like Five Guys.
Well, a lot of that is from the meat.
Oh my God, yes, it's Five Guys hamburgers. You got Louis Pizza here. You have Pizza Hut. Just everything we do is meat based. 325 pounds on average, kind of thing. A red meat hamburger that Americans eat a year is just in us to go to. Every restaurant you name is just filled with, oh my God, we're going to get all the
I just don't understand why people can't grasp the concept that you are literally eating death. When you eat meat, you are eating death. There's nothing living. I mean, how do you possibly think anything good could come from that? I don't get it.
I've seen all the movies you have and all the TV, Netflix and all that, so I'm aware, and it's just like people kind of ignore it, because I did when I was doing it. It's just kind of like ignore it, just eat, and you don't think about it. You just become numb through that. And I'm not going to lie to you, alcohol is addicting as well as food is addicting. There was this lady that my wife was watching. It's something brand new that she came out with. It's a little podcast or something that she's talking about, the addiction of food, and how it started in the 80s, and how when we were kids, a commercial, maybe 10 commercials a Saturday for food and stuff, and now it's up to 300 plus for kids that are bombarded with food. And fast food, zebra cakes, you name it. Our society has become so much sugar and salt that kids just gain weight. And this is where I totally disagree with the medical community. I do not think the pediatrician should have stated that gastric bypass for a kid and taking phentermine, weight loss, amphetamines to lose weight for children is appropriate. Because I blame it on the parents. It's almost child abuse in my mind that a parent can let their kids get up to 200-300 pounds and all of a sudden it's not his fault. He's been eating what you buy him.
Mm-hmm.
And for a 12-year-old...
But aren't the parents usually also significantly overweight too? And
hell yeah. You think of
so
Trailer Park in
why.
Arkansas? Hell yeah, but
that's why.
I don't think the kids should be taken away from the parents, not at all. I don't believe in that. However, because you know how child abuse is associated with Child Protective Services, no. But at the same time, I don't think kids should wait till they're 18, possibly counseling for weight management it's an eating disorder. But I don't think kids, in my opinion, humbly, that they should be, a 9-year-old shouldn't be getting gastric bypass and taking amphetamines to lose weight. And his parents won't slow down giving him 15 chicken nuggets with 2 hamburgers and a strawberry shake. And I'm like, oh my God, I know what causes it. Everyone does. It's obvious. But because remember in the 70s how you used to think, oh, that person's fat. And now that's like a normal person. That's like, oh, they're not fat at all.
Dude, on dating websites now, some of the dating websites have body type, and people will say skinny, average, stocky, whatever. When people say that their body type is average now, well, the average body now is fucking fat.
Yeah, 250, 230. So this is I always like to do something about events of the day, so I just read this morning, and it just ask your opinion. I'm going to tell this to you and see what you think. In Zhejiang, China, there was a man that was on a dating website. He finds a girl. He takes her to a nice restaurant, says he's going to buy her dinner. So he buys her dinner. They eat, and all of a sudden at the end, he gets the bill. He looks around the restaurant, and the girl says, oh, by the way, I brought 23 of my relatives with me. Everyone in the restaurant was her relative. So the bill is $2,812, basically. It's like a million yen. I don't know the conversion, but it was basically $2,812, something like that. And they bought the nicest alcohol the place had. They bought the most expensive cigarettes they had. Smoking in the restaurant in China's legal. And they fucking went to town eating the best food they can get. He gets pissed. He drops $500 and just leaves. And the family gets outraged. They're like, no, he's supposed to pay for the whole family's meal. And they get so upset they take him to court. And this is gold diggers at a level of like, what the fuck? And so the judge says, and the court says, yeah, we're going to require him to pay for his meal. And because he said he was going to go out with the female and pay for hers, he offered it as a dating type thing, which is what men do kind of in the world. It's accepted now. And so the judge says he will have to pay $197. And so he actually got money back. Instead of the $500, he got $300 back. And then the family is still livid. So the majority of everyone in China, except the family, says that Mr. Liu, L-I-U, Louis? I don't know how to say it, but he was in the right. What do you think?
Well, that's a no-brainer.
No
First
shit.
Off,
I think so too, but yeah.
When these people started showing up that were not his date, but his date's family, he should have just fucking got up and walked out.
And don't you think
too weird for me? Bye.
Don't you think it's somewhat on her to let him know that he would be paying for everyone? And this is not
ahead of time.
Yeah, and it's like, because if the whole family came, they would be paying for themselves individually as units. Not he pays for everyone. Because it's, and this is where ethnocentrism...
She sounds like a gold-digging whore.
No shit. In China, you don't think of Chinese people being like that. But anyways, the ethnocentrism is the word that I think of, meaning that America, everything we do is right. And all those other, oh my God, they eat dogs in China, they're disgusting. And so I do believe that America is right, though, most of the time, but I don't know their culture. But in the article, even the judge in the whole society of China is saying that he should not be liable for 23 relatives that are gold diggers ordering bottles of liquor and the most expensive cigarettes.
That's obvious.
That's pushing it to a level of like, they're assholes. Not just gold diggers, assholes. Like, I can't think of any country in the world that'd be done. Because you think, oh, no, maybe not South America, not Mexico, not Africa, not Europe, not China, India, no. Like, maybe it's different in China? No. Because the article said, like, everyone is disgusted. And the judge is like, still $196 is steep just for a date. In my opinion, I don't think they're going on another date. Because the whole family hates him, and I think
that's just ridiculous.
I think they're like Karens, like they like just expect things and it's just inappropriate, or they're so poor and low class that there's nothing in this world and any culture that just rings like, well, yes, he must pay for everyone in family at all times. Like he'd have to be a millionaire unless they perceived him being a millionaire. Maybe that's why.
Speaking of Karens,
yeah.
You know that group Moms for Liberty? Have you heard of them? Moms for Liberty.
Tell me more. There's something about school districts, and they want their presidents in the school districts.
Yeah. Moms for Liberty is just a bunch of uptight whores that don't want their children watching any. Don't want. Trust me, they're a bunch of uptight whores.
Allegedly,
they just need to get the stick out of their ass. But anyway, they don't want their children watching any Disney movies.
What? Disney? Are you kidding?
They don't want their kids watching any Disney. Yeah, they don't want their kids watching any Disney movies because Disney's, a pro-gay company. And anyway, they're infiltrating all of the school boards in Florida. So they have a new name. They've been given a new name here in Florida. Instead of Moms for Liberty, they're being called Planned Karenhood.
Oh my God, that's clever.
Planned Karenhood. I love it.
See, it's on both sides, because I don't think we should be putting 3-year-olds into getting a choice of whether you want a penis or a vagina. But at the same time, like Disney movies, come on. Like, there's so much of Hollywood that's ingrained in our society. Like, cancel culture on both sides is ridiculous. And I don't like Trump or Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the two ladies I heard a few days ago on, what's it called? YouTube. I like to watch YouTube shorts. So there's this doctor and two women. The two liberal ladies said they find it disgusting that people are assigned sex at birth. And the doctor says, well, if they have a penis, they're usually a boy, and a vagina, they're usually a girl, X, Y, and, the chromosomes and all that shit. Then the ladies, I don't know if they were just trying to piss them off like flat earthers, because no one can believe in flat earthers. The conservatives are just trying to piss the liberals off. But these ladies said, like, men have a choice of menstruating. And the doctor kind of didn't even blink an eye because he knew he was coming in for a fight. And he goes, well, men can't menstruate unless they basically take a knife and stab their testicles. Like, men do not have ovaries. They cannot bleed. You cannot menstruate. It's just a science thing. And the ladies were just like, no, you're pushing your bias of gender affirmation and all this bullshit. And I'm like, okay, that's overboard to the left. And so, it's just, where do you draw the line of like...
Well, here's the deal. I'll tell you exactly where you draw the line.
You're not been menstruating.
A 4-year-old boy.
Yeah.
A 4-year-old boy knows, just as we little gay boys, I knew I was gay when I was 5 years old. I had a crush on other little boys when everybody else had crushes on little girls. And a little 5-year-old boy who feels like a girl is entitled to have whatever medical treatment affirms the gender he feels that he is, and it's the parent's decision and nobody else. It is between the parents and the child, not the motherfucking school board and these Moms for Liberty that have a bunch of sticks up their butt. It's not their business. And if the parents make a mistake, well, it's their mistake to make. It's their business.
That's interesting, because if a religious person wants to homeschool their child, because this used to not be acceptable, now they won't bring the kids to school. And there's always the concern of child abuse, because a lot of these Christians are abusing their children with homeschooling. And so what's the difference between abusing a child homeschooling versus, because it's their own private right as the parents to do what they want, versus the parents saying that the child should be affirmed as what they want? I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't know shit.
It's the parent's decision.
Yeah, until they're 18.
Whatever
then the kids can take over. Yeah, I remember 19, I had 2 kids. I thought I knew everything. I didn't know shit at 19. I was like, I shudder. I seriously become Dennis the Menace's Mr. Wilson next door. Mr. Wilson, is that his name? I always forget. But I'm like totally against anyone driving below the age of 30. Like, I just see young kids texting, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I've become the angry old man. Get out of my yard, kids! And I told this story the other day.
Get off my lawn.
I put my Boba Fett little 3-inch character and my little 3 stormtroopers out under this. There's this huge rock in my yard, but there's this hole that goes into it like a cave. And I put Boba Fett guarding the entrance and 3 stormtroopers around there. Little kids next door, they came and stole it. And I couldn't say anything because I'm like, oh, I don't want to look like a jerk. So I sent my wife over, and she got it back. And so now I can't put my Star Wars characters. I'm a fucking child, I know. But it's just like I sound like that old person, like, young people shouldn't be allowed, they shouldn't drink or drive or smoke or do anything until 30. And I'm like, damn it, I'm the old person.
You need to have on your podcast.
Jesus Christ, not anyone. Oh, who's that?
You need to have a transsexual person that's gone through the whole conversion, because any of them will tell you that when I was a little boy, I knew I was a little girl.
That's interesting.
And I knew that when I was 5.
Because I have several patients, but I didn't think about podcast type stuff with them. That'd be interesting. That would be a good, actually, because I want to get everyone across the spectrum. I tried emailing Boebert, DeSantis, and I know I'm not going to talk. I just want someone from their campaign, like their media representatives, and just to have them on the show. Just different ideas to talk, not argue. Of course, you know how I make fun. I'm not totally offensive most of the time, allegedly. But DeSantis, Sununu from New Jersey, Chris Christie. I wanted to get the Governor Polis. I know I'm not going to talk to these people, but just someone from their office. And for Polis, I'd ask something like, you don't have this problem in Florida, but in Colorado we have this big river, and we gave it away in the 1920s to other states for $20 million, California and Arizona, New Mexico, and they're taking our water. Just like questions like, why can't I water my yard when these California people are Sylvester Stallone 500,000 gallons a month, and there's people in California can't drink? So I'm like, that's not blue or red. That's like just a fucking water thing. Like, these people seem not being dicks, because Sylvester Stallone and all those Hollywood people are kind of blue, and Colorado's purple, and there's just kind of like, and the governor has nothing to do with him being gay, has nothing to do with fucking water rights, but just little things like, I wonder what that, people's opinions and shit. But yeah, that'd be interesting to get a trans. But I wanted different perspectives, and everyone on the show. Hopefully, I didn't offend you today, because most of the time I do. But we've known each other for over 30 years, but you haven't seen me in a few years. But how long have we known each other since we got together on Facebook and became like friends again and knowing each other? It's been 5 years.
Where was that? Where was I living? No, it's been longer than that. I was living. Oh well, no, I was living in the condo that I owned over by Pulse because I remember sitting out on my patio, chatting with you online. So it's been
5, 7,
20. It's been about 7 years, I think.
Damn, that's a long time.
But I have a lot of friends down here that, like my friend Justin is now Julia. I've gone.
Know the people.
Well, of course, I have many friends that were born one sex and now living the other.
Born this way. And so when you think about this sports thing, because this always bothers me, like in Florida there was I don't know if it was actually Florida, but there was a women's swim team, and there's a 6'4" guy with a 10-inch cock in the locker room. And he's undressing, and he totally thrashes and sets the record. He beats the NCAA, so he wins the swim meet amongst all women's swim things, but he's no longer a man, he's a girl and stuff. So do you think people with a penis should be able to compete, or do they have to chop it off first?
What the fuck difference does that make?
I'm just kidding about the penis thing, but because they're still, in my opinion, still a man, because the muscles are just stronger than a woman. I don't think they should compete in sports.
I think what needs to happen, and Bill Maher also has been a big advocate of this too.
Bill Maher's
people need to get people need to get honest about professional sports to begin with. And the honest truth is, every last goddamn one of them are injecting and juicing.
Oh, that's
and
true.
Basically what you have is my roided up athlete can beat your roided up athlete. So it's time to eliminate. It's time to eliminate men's and women's sports.
Oh, I thought you meant all the athletes.
And no, it's time to eliminate men's and women's sports and just have sports. Because they're all roided up anyway. And then what they need to do is they need to change how they score things like swimming. They need to calibrate it a little different, to where
golf?
You can have men competing with women. No, you do. Well, whatever. I mean, I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah.
I've never watched, in my entire life, I've never watched a game of sports. I've
Because
never
I'm not
watched
going to
a
lie to
football
you,
game.
Arkansas is going to need the biggest handicap. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is that they need to change how they score. Maybe they need to lower some things for, women. Maybe they need to raise some things for men. I don't know. But the days, people are going to have to accept that the genders are blending. And it is the way it is, and it's not going to stop.
Because when we were at Watercress...
We need to start having individual stalls for restrooms.
When we were in Denver, the Watercress place, there was the restroom said... Oh, fuck, I took a picture and I don't know where it's at. It said something about kind of anyone can go in, and the door was not locked. Like, so men or women could go in the restroom, and they had different stalls and stuff. So when we were in some place called Paris, it's in France, there was a subway type tram. I don't know what to call it. What do they call those things? Subway, not a subway, but a train that's really fast, goes around the city. Anyways, we went in the restroom. We had to pay 10 cents per stall, and there was men and women. There was just lines, and there were men and women in line, and you just go in. It didn't matter. Now, the men were louder and more disgusting, and the women were, like, dainty and didn't release. They didn't drop mud like the men, basically. And so, but in France, it was accepted, and in Europe, it's a little more progressive, whereas America... I don't know if they're going to allow that. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Watercress restaurant in Denver's a little more progressive. Big cities are more accepting. Little towns are not. And so do you think they should just have men and women or just one restroom, or what do you think?
Well, however they lay it out, they just need to have individual stalls.
No matter what, just like a big room with stalls. You can't get in, you can't look.
Yeah.
Because why in America? Because over in Europe, everything's closed off. You can't look through the bottom. You can't look through. You can't.
Right.
But in America, we have
too.
an inch. You can see through who's in there. You can look under to like at least a foot or a foot and a half. You can look under, see who's in. And I'm like, maybe if we made them a little tighter, you wouldn't be able to see and it wouldn't offend anyone type thing?
Most of the bathrooms in Italy are, you walk into kind of a foyer. You go to the left. Those are the men's stalls. You go to the right, those are women's stalls. But in the middle of that foyer is a line of sinks and mirrors. And you have men and women in there,
I forgot you went to Italy. So in Italy, did you see any gay people in Italy?
Oh, yeah, many. I saw in Rome, we were walking around Rome, and there was this guy, a big butch guy with long hair, really butch-looking guy. But he was wearing a full-length evening gown and high-top tennis shoes. And me and John looked at him, and I was thinking, this guy's going to get his ass kicked. And you know what? Nobody noticed him.
He wasn't running? He was just standing there?
Nobody even paid attention to him.
He wasn't moving. He wasn't running.
No, he was totally comfortable, and everybody around him was comfortable. And I was like, this is the coolest fucking city I've ever been in.
Because a man with a
Nobody
dress
cared.
Is a transvestite. So I used to be in this running club, and we was around the world called the Hash House Harriers. And on May...
No, a man in a dress is not a transvestite. A man in a dress is a man in a dress.
Man in a dress,
That's
okay.
all it is.
So we used to run in May to raise money for breast cancer, and we used to be the Hash House Harriers, and we'd dress up in a red dress, and we'd have tennis shoes, and we'd run around the city following the flower, and we'd say, on. It's a British thing. But all the countries in the world have them. It's a running thing. So, but he wasn't running. That's why I'm asking that question. But what was your favorite thing about, was it the Colosseum, the art? You didn't get to see Bernini's art at the park, because I told you about that was my favorite. Were the chaplain, what do you call those things? The church things, the chapels with the stained glass windows. Was that your favorite? Like, what art did you like?
Santa Croce. Well, because we went to Florence, too.
I didn't get to go there.
And Florence, oh my God, if I ever hit Powerball, I will be living in Florence. So
you think Florence would be nicer than Rome?
Oh, absolutely.
Fuck.
Oh my God,
now I got to go then, damn it. So you went to Florence, and what was nice? It's just like, that's the water city where you get on a boat, right?
No, that's Venice, which we went there too.
What?
Venice was cold.
So Florence was just the place where in
the
Tom Hanks movie
so
they found things on the street. So is it the art, the architecture, or the food? Like, what was your favorite thing about Florence?
All of it.
Just a nicer city?
All of it.
Like more polite?
It was the architecture. All of the art in the world is in Florida, in Florence, except for the Mona Lisa is in the Louvre in Paris. But all of the rest of the art All of it is in Florence. I mean, Michelangelo's David and the Medici, all of the Medici's art collections, and then just the architecture, and then the stained glass of Santa Croce.
That's a church?
And it's next to Duomo Florence. It's the most beautiful stained glass I've ever seen. I literally just sat in Santa Croce for about 3 hours.
You know what really
just
bothered
chilled
me
out.
From the pictures I took of the Trevi Fountain, my favorite place in Italy, it didn't do justice because I just kept, my breath was taken away, the water, the depth, the perception, the statue, the way it was carved, perfect. And then I took a picture, and the pictures, even on postcards, do not do it justice on a flat. You have to have that three-dimensional be there and experience it.
You can't do that stuff justice. I mean, I'm telling you, when we saw Michelangelo's David, holy shit.
How big is the statue?
17 feet tall.
Jesus Christ, 17 feet.
I always thought David was like just life-size.
Yeah, that's
I thought it was like me and you. But it is the most beautiful piece of art. It is just breathtaking.
So did you like the paintings more or the David, like those carving statues?
I like the sculptures more. The paintings, they get repetitive after a while. It's just it's the fucking Virgin Mary over and over and over and over.
So what's interesting about the paintings, and I've told you this before, is that the masters, like the people they call the masters, used to use egg whites, blood, whatever it took, to create 238 different layers most of the time, to create a three-dimensional. That's why Mona Lisa is so famous. It's only the size of an 8 by 11 piece of paper. But when you move to the left or the right, it actually it's like three-dimensional, and that's what the masters did.
There were several of those that we saw.
Amazing.
Several of those.
And then the things I saw, the Bernini, those were the 4 statues I was talking about. Just totally amazed me. We sat there in 45 minutes.
I saw some of Bernini's work.
Oh, amazing. But I just looked at it, and I moved side to side, and I just stared at it. They wouldn't let us take photos. And it was literally, I don't know how they did it. That's what was amazing, the amount of artistic talent. And so now I got to go to Florence because you told me this. Damn it. So what was up in, you said Venice? What was Venice like?
Venice is unlike anything you can ever experience. Just so old. I don't know how the city is still functioning because those buildings are 1,000 years old, that people are living in.
No.
Yes.
100.
Yeah, no,
1,000 years old?
1,000.
So, is that the city where you get the boat and you go and get a gondola and go through? Okay. How are they standing up?
Yeah, the whole city.
If it's water, it seems like it erode.
I asked that question, and it's rock pylons underneath.
They just fall.
I don't know. I don't know how, but it's just like a fantasy world.
Because that must have been the city that the Italian job was done, because that's the one with water and the waterways and stuff. Did you get to go on the waterway?
Well, we had to. That's the only way to get around. There's no other way to get around. I mean, when we got there, we had to. I mean, the taxis are all speedboats. And
speedboats, that's funny.
When we left, they came to our hotel, which was right on the water, picked us up in a speedboat, and we went on this wild 45-minute speedboat ride across the ocean to the Venice airport. And you actually go into the Venice airport. That's how you get there. You go on a boat.
That's funny.
I'd have to take we had our luggage all piled up on this boat, and they dock at the airport, and that was amazing. But I think my favorite thing was walking around the ruins of ancient Rome, because there's just every historic. I mean, I looked at the spot where Julius Caesar was assassinated.
Oh,
the very
God.
spot.
That's what I was going to
say.
It was like where all the Senate and when all that thing was going on. I always thought
Nero.
It was huge. That little area, it's like a block or two. It's like it's all congested. It's all like made for really tiny, like 4'11" people. Like it was amazingly small for what in my mind I imagined to like span miles. But it was.
I don't know where you were at, but the area that I was walking around it did span for miles. I mean, there was just miles of ruins, and it's right next to. It's pretty close to the Colosseum.
Yeah, that's where I was. But some for reason it was supposed to be bigger in my mind. Then we saw the Parthenon or some little round thing, and there was a
Pantheon.
Pantheon, yeah. I don't know. I forgot what that was about, but it looked pretty cool. And then
the Pantheon, those columns that hold up the Pantheon in front were brought over from Egypt actually 2,000 years ago, and at the time they were brought over, they were already 2,000 years old at the time they were brought over.
Jesus.
So those columns are 4,000 years old.
Jesus, that's beyond imagination. Like, wow.
It is. The whole thing is it's so amazing. I mean, if I ever hit the lottery, it's Italy. It's Italy. That's where I'll be living.
That would be a dream. I can't speak Italian, but there was a place we went to in Rome. We accidentally got the nicest hotel, but it was in the how do you explain this? North of the Colosseum, there's a gay area, and we stayed there because people were fucking nice and all that. But we got some pizza, which was not as good as the American pizza I'm used to, but the spaghetti, oh my god. And then they had cheese, oh my god. And then the wine, table wine, was fucking phenomenal because they didn't have sulfites, what we put in America. What was your favorite food? What would you say? Did you like the pizza, the cheese, the macaroni? What did you...
People keep asking me that question. I'm not a foodie, man. I didn't care.
And you're plant-based. How did you eat over there? Because you can't eat cheese. You only got pasta. You can eat some bread. Like, what did you do?
I did a lot of vegetables and pasta most of the time, and salads, and and I mean it was good. But I'm not a foodie. I was not in Italy for the food at all. I was there for the history. I'm a huge history buff. I know everything about history. And to be standing in the place where Nero and Caligula and Julius Caesar and all of the stuff that shaped the world we live in now, to be standing in that place, it was just awe-inspiring for me. So I would have to say the ruins of Rome was probably my favorite part.
That's funny.
And then going into the Colosseum. I mean, did you go into the Colosseum?
Oh, hell yeah. I just didn't realize how small it was once again. Because in the movies, Gladiator, I just think it's like super huge. But what impressed me the most is they must have had like in the movies, like cloth and wood, because they used to have somehow they could move the Colosseum open, and they'd have like a water war where they'd have little ships, and they'd fight each other, and there'd be shark or like fish underneath there. They would get them, and it just amazed me. They had like water underneath the Colosseum, and they could fill it up, and they'd have a battle of ships and people dying, and they didn't mess around back then. Fucking people died in the Gladiator games. And just they had tigers that would come out, and it was kind of realistic in the movies. Like they had animals and the people in the prison underneath, and they'd release them up top, and they'd have sand, and I don't know how they did it. It just amazes me that they had, and up top there'd be these flags that would kind of cover for the light, and it was legitimately done. It was... But it just is not the size of a football stadium we think of in America. It's smaller than you think.
Yeah, but it's still very impressively large, given
5,000
the fact
maybe,
that all of that stuff... No, it seats 18,000.
Damn.
It seated 18,000.
Midgets.
Because I asked about that. But how the hell they even put that thing together? I mean, they didn't have cranes and electricity, and I mean, that's what amazed me, is how the hell they did any of that in those times. It was just, of course, it was all slave labor, but I was just impressed with the whole thing. I definitely am going back to Italy.
We liked Italy. Germany had a different type of history. Then there was Amsterdam. There was a painting we saw, the Night Watch, I think it was. We got to go to some little Jewish girl's house called Anne Frank, I think it was. And then England, their history there was amazing because they kind of ran before or after Rome. The English took over, and there the castles and the bridge and the little crowns, and they stole all the diamonds in the world. So they're pretty, just a different world. So every country had something unique to give.
I think my next one, I want to do a Rhine River cruise, a riverboat cruise.
Oh, of Germany?
Because the one thing that was tough about the way we did it was, I mean, we kept having to pack our stuff up and grab a train from Rome to Florence, and then pack up our stuff and grab a train from Florence to Venice. And if we do it on a boat, then, the boat just takes you there, and
boom, you're not going to flip over. It's not like America,
That was getting a little bit crazy. I have to keep packing stuff up.
I appreciate the kindness and compassion in the world, meaning that when I was in Tokyo, Japan, I didn't know the language, the kanji, good enough. If it wasn't for the kindness of the Japanese, we never could have made it on the trains. When I was in Europe, once again, my German isn't that good, my Italian isn't that good, my Amsterdam, I know nothing in that language. Literally, the kindness of others, because we're innocent white people and had this, I get my eyes really big and start to tear up, they'd eventually, all right, come here, American. Psychologically, like, oh my God, I'm American, I don't know what I'm doing, please help me. And so, literally, the trains were like, they would change, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened to our train? A Fivenhagen-Fovenvich, and I'm like, oh my God, please help me, do you speak English? And they'd sigh, and they're like, okay, American, come with me. But they would still help us. And just with the kindness, because those trains are fucking crazy. Just like in the movies like Harry Potter, there'll be like 8 trains, you got to get on the right one. Hopefully you have the ticket right. Hopefully you have enough money in that currency of their country, because the Germans don't like Italian. So the Euro thing, I think, was genius.
It's an absolute crime that America does not have the train system that Europeans have. We went from Rome to Florence, which is 270 miles, for 31 euros. We went from Rome to Florence. We made it in an hour and 10 minutes, 270 miles. And
what?
As we're
an hour and 10 minutes?
Yeah. An hour and 10 minutes. This fucking thing was flying. And it's the fastest train I've ever been on. I was actually pretty nervous. And as we're sitting there, okay, the chairs are electric. They recline. They had Wi-Fi. And then about 15 minutes into it, here comes a lady with a beverage cart giving us freshly ground espresso at no charge.
What?
And I was like, what the hell? I mean, why can we not have that in America? That's ridiculous that we don't have this.
We're more of a money-hungry country, and we don't want nice things.
I know.
And it's funny because the Europeans, in my perception, don't care about... If they make 10 million or 100 million, that's enough. We lived a good life, and that's enough for us. We can share a little bit. Americans are to the point like, fuck that. We need to be
We're just greedy fucks.
Billionaires, and fuck the niceties such as toilet paper, comfortable seats, and I'm like, fuck. So I do appreciate Europe for that, because they're not as hungry for, and we don't. I don't know if they work their employees.
Every
like
other country I've ever been to, Mexico, Costa Rica, Italy, even the Bahamas, you know, they're not money grubbers like we are in America.
How were the seats on the train? Did you go American, Delta, Swiss? Where'd you fly on?
It was awful. Delta, it was utterly awful.
What were you thinking, trying to save money? Yeah, I've learned that the plane flights are the most important part of vacations to me. Last time we went down to St. Lucia this last month, I flew first class for the first time. I was literally smiling the entire time. I fit into the seat because I'm a bigger guy now, and the people were exceptionally nice. And the people in the back were kind of like making fun of us. It was like, oh, you rich people up front. And all I could do was smile because I was happy. And they thought I was being an asshole by rubbing it in. I'm in the fucking first seat on the plane, smiling like a little fucking kid that just got a Christmas present he'd always dreamed of. And I'm like, I couldn't get over it. I was taking pictures. I was smiling. And they're like, fucking asshole, under their breath. And I'm like, I felt bad, but I'm like, I finally made it. I got first class. But it was the most comfortable. And the difference, like I brought them chocolate, so I think that helped them even be nicer to me. But we bought a bunch, because it's a thing now that you should tip or bring sweets for the stewardesses. And so the people up front shared it with the back stewardesses where all the angry people are at. And they came up and thanked me. And so people in the plane are like, what did he do? And I'm like...
Let me tell you something. Yeah. I was one of the angry fuckers in the back because...
the person I was smiling at.
and I'm not kidding you. It takes a lot to get me angry.
What happened?
I was fucking angry.
What did they do?
Because there was no... I have flown first class many, many times because my first career, when I was in sales, I was flying all over the country for my job, and I flew first class all the time. And I didn't really care if I flew first class or coach. I just wanted to get there. But I've never had a worse experience in coach than I did
10
on
hours,
Delta.
9 hours, what'd you get?
10 hours in coach. There was no padding on our seats.
Oh my God!
It was literally vinyl, and maybe like a quarter inch of padding under that vinyl. And even before we took off, my tailbone was hurting. And John, the guy I was with, his tailbone was hurting.
9 hours of horrible sensation in your back. That's awesome.
We actually got up and started opening up the overhead bins, and we took out our coats and all the pillows that we could find.
Bed. That's funny. Cushion yourself.
Trying to just cushion ourselves. But let me tell you, by the time I got to JFK, I was just like kind of in a murderous rage.
Did anyone irritate you on the plane by putting their feet up on you or like pushing on the seat?
No. It was just no. It was just Delta.
Did you get a meal?
Delta that pissed me off. Yeah, but I mean, when your ass is hurting and your back is hurting and you've been sitting in that thing for 5 hours, fuck the meal. Just give me some padding on my chair.
That's why I tell the wife, like, I'll spend just as much on an airplane now because I have back problems from whatever and the military.
Oh, never again. I told John, anything we do from here on out, if it's coach, count me out. I'm not going. I will only go in at least business
or first. Yeah, it has
class.
to be. Yeah, because I can't explain it. Like when you get older, when you're younger, you'll just suffer. But my back my legs go numb. I can't take it. The pain just becomes overwhelming with 11 hours or 10 hours of fuck my life. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, there's just no excuse for it. I mean, my exact words when we got to JFK, and I shouldn't have said this in an airport, but I literally said these CEOs of these airlines should be fucking shot. I was so pissed.
Once again, Americans it's all about the money. They don't care about comfort. Like, I was on a Japanese and a Korean airline when I was over in Tokyo. Their people are super tiny. I was like a giant over there. Those people are 4 foot 10, 5 foot 0. Their seats are fucking amazing. I looked at the Japanese lady when I walked on the plane, a Japanese airline. She looked like a fucking baby child, like just a child. She was so tiny and meek and very sweet lady. And the seat overwhelmed her. The seat was like a full couch. And I was even amazed. I was in coach, and my leg room was incredible, and I'm 6'2", and I'm a big guy, and amazing seats, the food, the people, the politeness. And I'm like, in America, the lady comes by, in the coach class, they usually throw the peanuts at me, and it's just like I feel like I'm in prison, like prisoner number 5, 7, seat 7. Here's your peanuts. Yeah. What do you want to drink? And they just slop the water in there, and it's dirty and it's plastic glass. And
I will say that the flight attendants were nice. They were accommodating.
Cool. That's awesome.
You know, they were good, but there is no excuse for that level of physical discomfort for 10 hours.
And you know what happened?
And I swear to God, those seats have gotten smaller. They have to have gotten smaller.
That's a fact. They have to try to save money to get more people in because every penny counts. So the CEOs, I don't want to anger you right now, but you know they got a golden parachute of $20 million.
Oh, I know. I already know.
They're getting bonuses every year for cutting and fucking slashing.
That's why I said when I got off that plane, that's why I said this fucking CEO should be fucking shot.
It's hard, like when you're in torture. Yeah.
But I was sick, too. I was sick. I was really sick. So I was already sick and uncomfortable. John, the guy I went with, actually, the next day when we got home, he had to go to the hospital. He had COVID.
Jesus. Spread on everyone on the plane. Well, I really think, because I flew on an American, I want to put out a plug for them. Awesome captain, awesome stewardesses, everything about first class American was amazing, both to St. Lucia and back. I can't say enough positive things about American Delta. I won't say anything about it. But allegedly.
Well, I didn't even know that Delta was considered, an inferior airline.
Frontier Airlines, Delta, you don't fly those things. You got to know this stuff. Oh,
I didn't know that.
You don't go to Disney World for a fine meal.
Who knew?
Delta dicked you. They were. You got raped by
I had
Delta,
no idea.
Allegedly.
I used to have a gig where I would fly from here to Manhattan on Monday morning. I would go and work in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I would go to my hotel in Manhattan and work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I would fly home on Friday, and I was always on Continental Airlines in first class.
Continental doesn't exist, does it, anymore?
They're not even around anymore, you know.
Damn.
So I've lost touch with who the good airlines are.
And it changes, believe me. And so, did you like Manhattan, New York?
Oh my God, New York is my favorite city in the world. That's
I'm not
my
gonna lie to
happy
you.
place.
I expected more violence, and there were so many cops. Everything was so...
I had so much fun.
It was cleaner than I thought. The food was amazing. The people are a little more aggressive, like, hey, you, what are you doing? You look like a fool. And so I remember some Italian guy said, like, he accused me of being in the CIA. He said, like, what are you in the CIA? Look at you, the way you're dressed. You're like too nice. And so, I was kind of weird. But
but I fit right in with New York because I'm a very blunt, fuck you person.
What amazed me was, because my gaydar is still not the best, but California, San Francisco, I couldn't pick out one gay person. Everyone looks exactly the same. Dressed nice, polite, nice. Southern California, can't really tell. Arkansas, can't really tell. Florida, I didn't see any gay people. New York City, people are flamboyant about it. They will let you know, like pink boa, probably gay. And so I was able to pick a lot more people out in New York at the what's it called? Times Square. People are just more like, one guy was selling marijuana. He had more tips than any person on the entire street. Because he said, asking for $1 to get high. And he looked like a total, like, surfer bum. Everyone laughed at him, and he got more, I swear to God, $100,000 a year on this guy. Because he just made people laugh, and he was honest. Did you see any of those people?
Well, I was doing the New York gig from 98 till 02.
Oh, damn, 3 years.
And I was still in my high party days back then.
Jesus.
So what I would do is most of the time in Manhattan on Fridays when I was supposed to fly home, I would just pay for the hotel for the weekend since I had to be there on Monday anyway. And I would just spend my weekend partying in the clubs in Manhattan. So I've partied, at what used to be the Limelight. Have you ever heard of the Limelight?
No.
It was a very...
is all I know, but is it a gay club or what?
Yeah, the Limelight was a huge gay club. It was in an old cathedral that had been turned into, a club.
Oh, Jesus.
And then there was a place called Club Twilo. So I would party on the weekends, and actually I was in Manhattan on 9/11 when that happened.
What?
I got stuck there.
What?
Yeah,
Did you see the cloud of dust?
Oh, I was stuck in it for 4 days because they closed the roads.
No
and
shit.
The airport was.
Wow,
the
I didn't know anyone that was
for,
there. Could you see the amount of dust that kicked up? Could you see the firemen getting lung problems?
Well, I had a rental car, and it was just covered. I mean, in like a quarter inch of,
oh my God, quarter inch
dust. And
how far were you away from the Twin Towers?
Well, I was at 65 West 55th, and the towers are way down. But yeah, I saw everything,
God.
And I got stuck. And
so did you get to see the towers fly in and you see the fire? Did you see them fall, or you didn't see that?
No, the towers had already fallen, and I was in a building that was online with, I believe, Merrill Lynch, the investment firm.
Jesus.
Because there was a lot of investment firms in the trade centers. And the building that I was working out of on the first floor, it was a Merrill Lynch. So I was working, and all of a sudden people are pounding on my door, and it was security, and they're like, everybody out, everybody out, everybody out. And we were all getting evacuated into the street. And
Jesus.
I didn't know, I thought, so like there was a missile coming or something. I had no idea what was going on. So,
scary.
But I ended up getting stuck in Manhattan for 4 days because I couldn't fly out, and I ended up having to drive that rental car all the way from Manhattan to Florida by myself.
Wow.
To get home. So
they weren't
I did it all
out.
in one.
Damn.
No, they closed the airport for a couple of days, and then the flights were so backed up.
You did 15
and
hours
I had
straight?
to be at a meeting. Yeah, all by myself.
15
straight
hours?
Down. About 16 actually.
Damn it! And that's a lot of sandwiches from the gas stations.
But it was the only way to get home. So
yeah, you got to go do what you do. So I appreciate having you on the the podcast, Why So Spicy. Use that voice. It's good talking to you. You're going to be my liberal representative for all the people I have. But
all right.
It's good talking to you.
I'll give you the gay perspective.
Yeah. You'll be my gay representative, so I have any gay questions, I have to get you on the podcast.
I can't even imagine what other nonsense is going to happen in the future here. But yeah, if you want the gay perspective from Florida, I could be your guy.
What do you think is going on with the sushi market from a gay perspective? It's just kind of stupid question. What do you think? Gas prices. How does this gay man look at gas prices? And so just stupid shit. You'll be like,
well,
this isn't a gay
to fill
thing.
My tank.
To fill my.
I have to do some things that I ordinarily wouldn't want to do, but if I want to drive from here to Miami, that's a lot of cock to suck.
A 20 is a 20. That's what I was going to name my show, actually. A 20 is a 20, because it had that sexual period type. Like, oh my God, that's disgusting. But then I was like, no, I'll get in trouble because it just sounds too, but because then people are going to expect certain things from me. And so I thought, I went into why I named the show Why So Spicy. I went into my father-in-law's Alzheimer's unit, memory care unit. And on the wall it said, crunchy, juicy, spicy. And that's what I was going to name it. So I asked 15 people, does this work? And 13 said no. And only 2 said like it. And so my son said, why so spicy? So I put that out there, why so spicy? And 13 people said yes to why so spicy and no to why so. 2 people said no. And so I'm like, why so spicy is probably a food type connotation or Latina or Latino type, but it's because my humor is kind of too spicy sometimes and I offend people. I'm trying not to, but yeah, that's why I named it. Why so spicy?
Well, in any case, stay on your healthy path. Whatever you're doing to lose weight, stay on your path.
I'm taking
yes, you do.
Some meds right now are making me extremely nauseated today, so I'm not eating as much, and I think that's part of the medicine's goal, is to make you nauseated.
Have you looked into Ozempic yet?
Ozempic. There's a plug for Ozempic, by the way. Love them. So the problem is, if you're a type 2 diabetic, the insurance companies will cover Ozempic and Trulicity and Mounjaro. And there's only one approved that I got. I'm trying to get one of my patients Wegovy, and that's approved only for weight loss. You don't need to be a diabetic, but you have to have 3 components. You have to have high blood pressure, weight problems, high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, and a type 2 diabetic. 2 out of those 3 things to get Wegovy covered. Now, the others, TRICARE would have covered Ozempic, and so it's $1,065 for the medication. I only had to pay $650 a month. I can't afford that. I work behind IHOP. I lost my name tag, FML. And so I'm like, I'll go without. And so my doctor gave me something called Trulicity, which is an injection once a week, and it makes me nauseated. So I don't feel like eating because I'm so nauseated. So it's kind of helping me lose weight.
So that's a good thing then.
Yeah. And so that's it. And just, of course, eating differently, eating healthier, 35 grams of fiber a day through plants.
And move your body. Get your body moving.
That's the hard part with the dizziness right now with the severe anemia because of heart failure I just went through. And so, yeah, I'm trying to get out and walk more, and it's summertime, so that's a good thing. But it's been raining here. I'm like, always an excuse, I know. But good having you on the show, Why So Spicy, by Nicholas B. Thank you,
all right,
Connor, for being on the show. I appreciate everything you said. And when I need any gay perspective, I will definitely give you a ring and ask,
all right,
what kind of car do you drive? Do gay people like Subarus? And so there's always been a stereotype. Do you like Subarus, or is there any truth to that at all?
That's lesbians. Lesbians like Subarus.
So gay men do not drive Subarus. You've heard it here first, folks. No, I didn't know that. So gay men, you're saying gay men hate Subarus. Gotcha. Check number 1. And then, no, so only...
I am not saying that, but I am saying that they're rather popular.
Yeah.
They're popular. Well, because they're more of a, get out in the woods and go chop wood and, it's a more masculine type car.
Oh, my God. And a gay man would never chop wood. Only the lesbians do that. I'm a Subarus. That's kind of funny. It's just like a stereotype, like a gay man, like, no, we do not drive Subarus. That is so funny. If you had to name a car, what would a gay man drive as a car?
A cabriolet convertible.
What? That's funny. I don't even know what that car is? Truthfully, I've heard of it, but I just don't know what it looks like, so I got to look that up. That is funny. I just never... I thought
It's,
like Rolls Royce or something, or a Porsche or Corvette. I don't know. Like, I don't...
No, we're very fond of our tiny convertibles. You know, tiny, cute convertibles. Yeah, so...
All right. So let me let you go, and I will call you if I need any perspectives. It's funny just to have you on as a comedy. Like, what do you think about this? Nicholas, that's not a gay thing. That's just a gay men don't have an opinion about that. That's funny, though.
All right.
But good talking to you.
I got to go eat.
Sounds good. Make sure it's healthy.
Bye.